grinta per lo slovacco.
Peter Sagan gets victory. Oh, crashing the peloton behind. Tamar is going to lead it out. He's going to go for glory. Nobody's going to stop him. Arnaud Tamar to the line. He gets the fourth. It's 4 victories for Arnaud Tamar. Oh, problem for Fadoon. It is victory for Jonathan Manuel Narvaez.
Arnaud Démare che non riesce a tenere il ritmo. Diego Ulissi ancora davanti, Joao Almeida alla fianca, Diego Ulissi ancora davanti, Diego Ulissi vince, vittoria italiana!
Oh, right her down. Joao Almeida across the line in 6th position.
Filippo Ganna con la livrea di campione ridato. Va vicino, linea del traguardo, primo Filippo Ganna. Joao Almeida per la prima volta in difficoltà.
Theo Gegenhardt goes for the line.
Vince Gegenhardt. O'Connor sempre più vicino. Ecco che parte Tratnik.
It is victory for Jan Tratnik.
Il ritardo del gruppo.
Ben O'Connor goes on the attack.
Perde il ritmo dei migliori anche Vincenzo Nibali. corridori al comando, Jay Hindley, Theo Geoghegan-Hart.
They'll race it all the way to the line, but Hindley gets his arms in the air. He gets a glorious...
ufficiale.
Journey rolls over the top of the latest attack. Joseph Journey takes it home to glory and Asti today.
Kelderman perde già terreno.
Pettino maglia bianca, 8 unità al comando.
Jai Hindley's going to get those extra few seconds. Next attack. Attack number 2 from Jai Hindley. And Theo Geoghegan-Hart is equal to this one.
Ultimo chilometro per Hindley e Geoghegan-Hart.
Parte velocissimo.
Running to the line, it's Theo Geoghegan-Hart.
Allez Rohan, mamma mia Rohan, super, come on Rohan, super.
A passare al comando dopo 4 ore e 52 minuti di gara Geoghegan-Hart al comando, vince a Sestriere Theo Geoghegan-Hart.
So che sarà lei proprio a svelarci il vincitore della We Are the Race. Allora, ci hanno accompagnato per questo Giro d'Italia queste bellissime auto ibride e andiamo più nel dettaglio, come sono andate benissimo, intanto devo anticipare io però.
Intanto buongiorno a tutti, sono andate benissimo, riconfermano i risultati dello scorso anno che già erano eccezionali. Ora hanno percorso in totale circa 30.000 km e per il 50% del tempo hanno viaggiato in modalità zero. Questo è un risultato incredibile se considerate che il chilometraggio percorso non è stato fatto solo per i corridori, ma anche i chilometri percorsi nei trasferimenti di tappa.
Assolutamente, abbiamo visto che qui a Milano ci sono anche delle auto molto particolari a idrogeno e quindi che mettono solo acqua. Allora il funzionamento nello specifico.
Qui facciamo tutto il ventaglio delle soluzioni elettrificate, quindi facciamo le vetture emissioni zero, la binaria idrogeno. Nella binaria idrogeno praticamente l'elettricità viene generata a bordo attraverso un'azione elettrochimica che combina l'idrogeno con l'ossigeno. Facciamo anche una vettura elettrica,
on est bon. Voilà.
Today's the day. Yesterday it was set up beautifully. Never before have we been in this position. A grand tour with two riders on the same time approaching the final stage. It was a second stage win for Theo Gegenhardt 24 hours ago. But it was Jai Hindley who would take the Maglia Rosa. Yesterday we witnessed one of those stages we always dream about. The race was amazing. Hindley tried his luck against Theo various times, and he had him in trouble a couple of occasions, but Theo controlled the situation. I think at the stage up in the Stelvio, well, Hindley could have done a bit more and obtained a gap over the British rider. On the other hand, we need to congratulate Rowan Dennis. Phew, incredible. Speechless after the work that the Australian's done. He showed a lot more than just being a time trialist, and I think it's important we remember this. And prior to the final stage, Jai Hindley is the new pink jersey, looking to become the first ever Australian winner, but they're separated by just hundredths of a second. ST, same time. Jai Hindley, Theo Gegenhardt, Wilco Kelderman looking to hang on to the podium. But with 15.7 Ks to go, it's down to just two men. Well, the Madonnina looks over her city. Who'll be wearing pink underneath that great cathedral. Milan and the Giro d'Italia synonymous. And it's to the city of the Madonnina where we go for the finale. Beginning in Cernusco sul Naviglio, and it's a city centre course, 15.7 kilometres, all the way into the centre of the town, and finishing outside of that famous cathedral. Flat as a pancake, long straight sections as well, but once they get into town, there are a few twists, a few turns. City roads are always difficult to navigate, and there will be that thought of a nervous moment. We'll have our time check after 10 kilometres in Via Padova. And 15,700 metres is what separates either Theo Gegenhardt or Jai Hindley from the realisation of a dream. The Maglia Rosa is in play. It is the final and 21st fight for pink at this really special Giro d'Italia. The Trofeo Senza Fine is ready. The never-ending trophy, but whose name is going to be engraved in just a few hours' time. Sunweb are ready. They've been in this position before. Remember Tom Dumoulin, Giro d'Italia? But of course this time it's not a time trialist who is the favourite to win. It's two riders in the general classification who have never been in this position before and who haven't been expecting to be so. The Ineos Grenadiers are ready. They'll be looking to win the stage, and they have two of the favourites to win the stage in the shape of Rowan Dennis and Filippo Ganna. But they'll be happy that for one day all the attention is on that man and his big rival. On paper, Theo Gegenhardt has had better results overall in the time trials against Jai Hindley, but they have very rarely ridden full gas and in competition head-to-head in this mode. Both riders have been on the road having a look. Both riders have been out there doing their reconnaissance missions. They have great coaching teams. There's Luke Roberts looking after Team Sunweb. He's an Olympic team pursuit gold medalist. He knows all about the aero. And of course we all know about the preparation for the Ineos Grenadiers. They have two of the top time trialists in the world, Filippo Ganna and of course Theo Gegenhardt's other teammate, Rowan Dennis, the man who did the business yesterday in the mountains.
Siamo a 40 secondi, 40 seconds. Seguono con noi, accompagnano il finale dell'attesa.
From start to finish today, we're with you. It is very much about the finish, but we will see each and every rider take on their final 15.7 kilometres of this 103rd Giro d'Italia. We began 21 stages ago on the island of Sicily with a time trial. Here's Jonathan Dibben, first up out of the 133 riders who remain. 176 started, We've lost quite a few along the way. But here's the Maglia Nera, the black jersey, the last man in the Giro. And he'll be hoping to keep that position, I'm pretty sure. And the publicity that it brings. He's running for Lotto Soudal, but in search of a new contract. The last man in the Giro is off. And this is how it'll work today. It's 1 minute per rider, so every minute a rider starts until we get to the final top 10. Then they'll be separated by 3 minutes. And of course, it's the last two who we are looking at in relation to the general classification. They'll be watching on the telly. They'll be trying to go about their business. And we'll be having a look at this course for the first time. Brian Smith's alongside me. Brian, big day today. Hope you got your sleep. Hope you got all of your prep done. And you've been having nice dreams about this day. Shaven, clean shaven already. Beauty sleep he's had. I can see him on the FaceTime. With Guy Sagiv about to start, it's Buongiorno to Brian Smith for the final time at this Giro.
Yeah, I actually had a nice relaxing breakfast and start to the day, and then I came into the box, got my preparation done, and then I looked at that intro there, the intro with Ineos and Sunweb, and just looking at the faces, and I wouldn't say there was tension, but two young riders on the cusp of winning a Grand Tour, the Giro d'Italia. I would never have thought that right from the start. I tell you what, it can go anywhere. You can throw the record book out, of the head-to-heads, because it can go either way. We saw that happen in the Tour de France between Pogacar and Roglic, and we're up for a battle today, and we've got the stage as well. Can Ineos win 7 stages a day with Ghana? Well, I think he can, but the battle really is between Hindley and Theo Gegenhardt.
There's Alvaro Hodge, who's the next off. And I think we're about to be joined from Belgium by Philippe Gilbert. Bonjour, Philippe.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Brian.
How are we? Are you excited?
Yeah, I think like everyone, it's a crazy final of this Giro d'Italia, and I'm happy to be on board to comment this final.
Well, it's brilliant to have you with us. We're watching a teammate of yours now, Jonathan Diven, Maglia Nera. It's been an interesting Giro d'Italia for Lotto Soudal. They've tried and tried and tried, and we've seen the discovery of young Harm Verhoeven. How do you think it's gone for him?
Yeah, it's always special to open the road, I think, yeah, Jonathan is a strong guy, especially on the flat, so you can see have a nice position, and he still have the motivation to go. So let's see what time he can deliver today.
Well, we look at him, we look at Cofidis and their first rider, Marco Matis, getting on the way. Next up will be Fabio Mazzucco, Guarnieri, De Villacqua, and then we'll have the first of our real contenders. That'll be Matthias Brenly in around 5 minutes' time. So Dibbon's on the way. Big thank you to all of you watching on our digital challenges and platforms today. Remember, you can get in touch with what's happened after the race, watching the breakaway. That's on the GCN Race Pass and the Eurosport Player. For now, we're settling in with Brian Smith and Philippe Gilbert alongside me. And Philippe, I guess the big question is, what have you made of what's happened over the last few days in the general classification battle? It's been quite a ride.
Yeah, it was impressive to see like almost the riders one by one in every final of the mountain stages. And I think it was a really demanding Giro, and we saw a really nice race at the end, and a great battle. A lot of tactics going on also. Some teammates were like playing a big role, like Rohan Dennis, and it was really interesting to see.
Well, we are going to see what sort of role these teammates might play today. Brian, the likes of Rohan Dennis mentioned there by Philippe, are they going to be important for Theo Gegenhardt, or perhaps another teammate important for Jai Hindley today, because they'll be out on the course first and relaying information, or is that something that the leaders don't want to know about?
I think on the breakaway last night, the question came up, and Brad Wiggins said he couldn't deal with all all the info that the earlier riders had done. He just wanted to do his own thing and do it his way. And you know, you can't argue with the man. He's done it so many times. And you know, he would give the advice to Theo Gegenhardt just to do his own thing. And because you've got the likes of Ghana and Rohan Dennis that are very experienced at this, and you know, to give information on certain things, it kind of messes with your head a little bit. But I did notice this morning that Theo Gegenhardt rode the course with Filippo Ganna. I know it's going to come down to power in the end and what's left in your legs, but at the end of the day, I think Filippo Ganna, specialist in this. Maybe it's when you visualise the course, a line thing, you know, line round corners, what way to go and that sort of stuff. But then afterwards, when you get back to the bus, I think it's very important that nobody disturbs Theo. He just gets into kind of focus and what he has to do. When other riders go through their rides and then they start to give information back, or watch this corner and do this, go the left hand side, it can play with your mind a little bit. There's enough pressure on these young lads today. You don't really need any other pressure. Phil, would that be something that you would do, you would help, or you would just leave them alone?
It's always hard to say, you know, because Ghana, I think he was resting a little bit more, and he's the specialist of the moment of the time trials. But maybe more interesting to compare the time of Rohan Dennis, who also did the same efforts as Theo in the last day. So I think we can compare their form too. So it will be interesting to compare more Rohan's time to Theo, you know, to give some advice and gives us some tips and motivation. But at the same time, it's a quite short course, 15 kilometers. It's flat. Like I saw on the map, it's a headwind. So it's all about really pushing, you know. So and with this situation, like I think they both know they have to give everything, and it can be win or lose by 1 second, you know. So every moment of the course is are important. Like every corner, every part. Like if you take the corner or the roundabout on the left or right side, you have to analyze the shortest way also. So it's going to be really interesting. But I think Theo have to more focus on his own pace.
Well, there is Jonathan Dibben. This now is Matthias Brendle, and I think it's fair to say that he's the first of the real contenders for the stage win today. Of course, it's a short time trial. That's what he's particularly good at. The team's on a roll with Alex Dowsett winning, Dan Martin then winning a stage in the Vuelta a España as well. Fair to say that they hadn't won a stage in any Grand Tour racing until a couple of weeks ago, but Brendle will try. And we, of course, are following Dibben as we get our first look. What's your impression so far of this course, Philippe?
Yeah, like I said, it's really fast. I don't really know which gear they're going to use. I will say they're going to use a 58 to get the chain quite straight. And so it's going to be really fast. And we saw some corners. They don't look so technical. They look quite fast also. So I don't think that you have to stress about the corners. Of course, it's important, but I think it's the most important is to make a high speed on the straight lines, and there you can make the difference. So I will say to them, you know, like don't take too much risk on the corners, because you will not win there, and of course you can lose, but just take it safe and then gives everything on straight lines.
Here is Ignatas Konovalovas running for Groupama FDJ. Final time trial winner in Rome 11 years ago now. Long time since he was a young rider. I think he was with the Cervelo test team back then and won the time trial. Now we're getting a look here at Brendle, who takes his own way around the roundabout there. That looks like an interesting decision that's to be made early on in the course. Quite a bit of road furniture to negotiate there, and I guess what we've seen so far is that might create a little bit of confusion when it comes to the GC guys later on. We shall watch that little roundabout with interest. This is Brendle, the Australian champion, the Austrian champion. Got Australia in my head with what's to come later on with Jai Hindley. Jai Hindley, Theo Gegenhardt. That is the duel I know you're all tuning in for. 16:09 local time. That's 15:09 GMT. That is Theo Gegenhardt's start time. 16:12 Milanese time. 15:12 GMT. And I say GMT so you Australians can work it out whichever time zone you're in as well. That is Jai Hindley, the last rider out, and the Maglia Rosa at this Giro. Brian.
What about the other duel, the Italian-Aussie duel?
Well, that's the inter-team duel, isn't it, for the stage win? Because, of course, we're talking about the Maglia Rosa. We've now got both Konovalovas and Brendle on the road. Gentlemen, who's both of your stage win tip today? And I guess you're not going to deviate too far from the big names, but you might surprise us. What do you think?
Phil, you go first.
I go first. I go
no
for
pressure, eh?
Yeah, I go for safety. I will say Ghana because he's the one.
Do you think, Phil, yesterday's efforts is going to really affect Rowan Dennison? Because they would normally, before a time trial, they would want to ride in the gruppetto, but you know, both of them were kind of deep into the stage yesterday and done their job.
I think when you're in great form like they are, like these few guys like Ghana and a few other guys and Rohan Dennis, is okay. You can make some more effort and go deeper than others in the final of some stages, but when you're good, you recover good, you have the confidence, and I don't think that these efforts can affect the performance of today.
This is a man who's performed for 21 days. He's won 4 sprint stages, been in charge of the Maglia Ciclamino. He now brings it to Milan after surviving the mountains. He starts with a smile, and it's a huge day in the career and in the life of Arnaud Démare. He has had a magnificent Giro. Philippe, who's a better sprinter than Arnaud Démare at the moment? Because I can't think of many.
Oh, this year he's been impressive. Yeah, I think he's the sprinter of the season. Of course, you have Calabiran. It's also impressive, but I think that Démare showed like a lot of performance and high-level sprints this year, and he was really consistent. So he won, I think, 14 or 15 races this year. So it's really impressive.
Absolutely brilliant. Now we're getting our first time check. 10.3 kilometers in. It's going to be Jonathan Dibben. And there he is, 12:54. Alex Dowsett time. British champion looking for stage win number 2. He was out there in a breakaway again the other day. This is a good old-fashioned British 10-miler, isn't it, Brian Smith? This is right up Alex Dowsett's street.
Yeah, 10 mile, and he'll want to show off that British Championship. I was just getting into that kind of Europop there. I was loving the sounds there, and I think Alex would be loving it as well. But yeah, this is a good course, and Alex is a attention to detail type of rider, and there wasn't a great deal of difference between both Brendle and Alex Dowsett in the stage 14 time trial, but that was over a couple of climbs. This is a straight out fight on these type of roads. It's about getting the power down, getting in that aerodynamic position, and you're right, it's close to a 10-mile time trial as you will get. You've got a bit of kind of technical nature at start, bit at the finish, but most of this course is long and straight. You do have a bit of a headwind, but it's not much. It's dry, thankfully, but it's about 2 to 4 kilometers an hour in the rider's face. So you can just see now Alex is just getting into that position. You know, he'll move his head up a little bit. He'll just put a marker on the road where he has to aim for, and it's just staying in that position. Which, Phil, do you do a lot of kind of time trial work, and how difficult is it to stay in that position?
Well, it's all about training. I remember my best years when on time trials. I was never a specialist, but it was in BMC, and I was using the time trial bike twice a week with really heavy trainings, and then it was the only way to get better. You know, go on the bike, often and ride fast also, because you can have a nice position but hold it on the high speed is something different. So you have to practice this, and so I did, and then I was becoming better, but of course never a specialist, but I could see that I was becoming stronger on the TTs, and I think that these guys train the training bikes, the TT bike a lot, and it's the only way to get better.
That was a brand new fastest time. Brand new fastest time for Álvaro Hodge, 5 seconds quicker. Just one time check on the course today. So only one chance to get an official check on how things are going once we get to the end. Remember, in the slightly longer time checks, in the slightly longer time trials, we've had 3 checks. Even in the opening time trial, I think we had 2, didn't we, Brian? Because we had that King of the Mountains after 1 kilometre that everybody was trying to go for, and then the one down in town. This should present quite a little less worry, shouldn't it?
Yeah, the conditions are pretty good for the time trial. The conditions weren't the same for everybody in the first time trial, so I don't think we can compare. Then in the second time trial, between the GC riders, who was Theo Gegenhardt, was Jai Hindley giving 100%? I think they were at that stage. But yeah, it's a difficult one to compare. Just watch you don't run over that. I almost missed it. But yeah, you can't really compare. I think this is more mental pressure than physical. They looked as if they were equally matched in the mountains. So I think it's just who deals with the mental pressure of this. We saw in the Tour de France something that I don't think anybody expected to see in the final time trial. This is different. This is 2 very good climbers in a discipline that they're both good at. They don't excel at, they're both good at. How's the recovery been? Because we believe that Ineos flew off the Sestriere in helicopters while Sunweb went to the hotel in the team bus. So will that have an effect? How will they deal with the pressure? But yeah, it's going to be a closer battle, I think, than most people think.
You're watching Judgment Day. This is the real one. Could have been the case on 3 occasions this week. And this is Matthias Brennle, hoping to be the man remembered for the stage win on an historic day in the Maglia Rosa. We all remember Jos van Emden winning that final time trial in Milan 3 years ago, because it was a double Dutch day on the day. Tom Dumoulin took the seconds back on Nairo Quintana, took the pink jersey in the end. And the story that will be told today will be a special one, whatever happens. It has never been so close going into the final stage of a Grand Tour. 102 previous editions of the Giro d'Italia, and this has never happened. We are in such a privileged position to watch this today. Some sort of brilliant reward after the times we've all had to endure. Now you're watching Alex Dowsett, who's a time trial machine in full flow, and he looks good, Brian.
He does. You can just see him. He glances up, make sure he's getting the position. Just picks a marker out, puts his head down again into that aero position, and just tries to put the power down. It is all about power this time trial.
Miles Scotson, former Australian road champion, good dedicated track rider before he turned to the road. And look how well Monsieur, or Herr, I was going to say Monsieur, I thought it might be Arnaud Demar, but Bevilacquez in front of Brennle. And it is Brennle, I imagine, who's going to set the fastest time there. First finisher, and it's Jonathan Dibben. And we sincerely hope we'll see him again in the professional peloton. I know that he is one rider who hasn't announced a contract for next year yet. Said to be leaving Lotto Soudal. But Jonathan Dibben, just under 20 minutes for his 15.7 kilometres. And there's the minute man taken by Brennle. Good course for him, this. Flat as a pancake, nice and short. A little longer than the prologues that he's won in the past, but we know he's going fairly well.
Perfect course for him. You know, even at the time of Jonathan Dibben there, that was, for those back in the UK listening, you know, it's almost a 10-mile time trial at the end of a 3-week tour. And these guys are putting these times down at this speed. It's absolutely amazing, the recovery. I asked Philip Gilbert, who's with us, but he just lost his connection at the moment. He's going to message me when he gets back on. But you know, the powers of, you know, recovery day after day for these athletes is absolutely amazing. You know,
even this man's a good example. He's a big, thick leg sprinter. It's his Grand Tour debut, but he's got to Milan, and he's going to set the new fastest time, I think.
Yeah, he is, and I believe that Phil's back now with the connection. Just to let you know, Rob. But I never answered my question. He asked us, who do you think is going to win today? I think it will be Ghana for sure, 100%. And I think Phil says the same thing, but. You know, I have to say that Rohan Dennis, the way he's ridden, you know, there's a lot of people said, and even talking to Sean as well, Sean Kelly, and he said to him before, a few years ago, why don't you go for the general classification, you know, the whole. And it's something I'll ask you, Phil. Just, you know, I think Rohan Dennis has now shown that he can go over mountains. He's, you know, excelled at time trials. Why do you think he's not really been focused and maybe trying to win a Grand Tour?
I think he's tried already in the past. In the Giro, he went for the GC once, and yeah, it didn't happen. But I think he had this in his mind. Also, we don't have to forget that he was second in the Tour de Suisse behind Bernal. So I think he had already some good performance. But now it's also he's in the team of the specialists, you know, of this. This way of racing, and he's not the favorite in his own team, you know. So he will always find someone stronger than him, and but I'm sure he have it in the legs.
Well, I think we've seen as well this year that even if you don't go into a race as leader, on the odd occasion it can happen, because we've found out with two guys who didn't come in as leaders and they found themselves in the perfect position. But Dennis is an interesting one, and I know that a lot of guys have the talent as well, but because of the sacrifices that are required to consistently finish every day, to live like a monk for 12 months of the year, I just know that it isn't for everybody, is it, being a GC rider, even if you have the ability, and there's a lot of things to factor in. There's Michael Mattis coming over in third place, 1 minute 4 seconds down from the top time that has been set by Alvaro Hodge. Mattis finishes for Cofidis. A few new names coming in there next year, and they're going to do their best to support Guillaume Martin. They've already signed Ruben Fernandez, haven't they, as the climber, man who used to be at Movistar. They'll still have the block supporting Elia Viviani, but it's been a Grand Tour without them again this year, without winning a stage. Now we're following Brenly here. He's on the way to the finish line, and I guess, gentlemen, that we're going to see the fastest time from him. He should be setting the fastest time here.
Well, he has been setting the fastest time out in the course. He went 12:14 at the first checkpoint, and it was an average speed of 50.518 kilometres an hour at that time. A few observations on the course, and this is something again we'll talk about. You know, specialist equipment for the time trials with Phil, but a few people noticing the kind of Velcro in the saddle to keep them from slipping in the saddle. Is there anything that Phil, that we're going to bring Brenly in first, but after Brenly we'll kind of ask you about, you know, up-to-date techniques and wee things like Velcro on the saddle and things like that helps these riders.
Yep, 600 metres to go for Matthias Brenly. You've seen the last few turns, and these will be familiar to those of you who watched the Milan time trial before. It's the same road alongside the famous Duomo that brings the riders into the centre of Milan. Famous cathedral that looks down. We go back to the start, and back to an important start as well, because this is Maciej Bodnar. Polish rider who is always an outsider when it comes to these time trials. But let's go to the finish. Over the cobbles they go. And it's those lying, big, slippy paving stones that everybody will be worrying about until they get over the line. Thankfully, it's nice and dry, but look at this. It's going to be a big chunk of time taken off what was set by Hodge. It's Matthias Brennle who is going to set the fastest time so far. It's an 18:27, an average speed of 51.1 kilometers per hour, 39 seconds quicker. Brennle of Austria and Israel's startup nation is the brand new leader. Well, our television viewers have gone off for a quick commercial break, but Philippe, we were talking tech, and I think Brian was asking you about Velcro on the saddle and special equipment and adapting to it.
Yeah, all these things are quite new in cycling, and now also the rules are changed, and the Velcro have to be part of the saddle. You cannot put it on over the saddle, so all these things has changed in the recent past. But of course, a lot of people use it, and a lot of manufacturers also make special saddle for the TT with this kind of Velcro inside and incorporate in the saddle, and this can help a lot. Yes.
Well, looking at two riders from Groupama FDJ, this is Simon Guglielmi, who's just been overtaken by his teammate Miles Scottson, who set off a minute later. So Scottson's going well. For Dowsett, Brian, he was around 5 seconds down there at the time check.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timings here. Second at 4 seconds, Alex Dowsett there. So it's close. It was close in stage 14 time trial between Brennle and Alex Dowsett. But when you think of what's to come and who's to come, especially Philippe Ogana, you would think that they're going to be posting big times, and I think it's going to be very difficult to anyone to get near Philippe Ogana. Imagine riding into Milan with the World Championship jersey on your back. He's in the gold, but he's going to be absolutely flying. And I think everybody thought after that first time trial he's going to win a few stages here and all the time trials, but Alex is trying to use everything he can, just trying to get a little bit of draft behind the Koenig Quick-Step car. These guys are doing over 50 kilometers an hour average and just coming up, rushing into the slipstream there of Elio Kaiser. He knows he's probably down at that checkpoint, and he knows that he needs to up it to take the first place away from his teammate.
Well, there's going to be no repeat of 2009 for Ignatas Konovalovas. Second place, 30 seconds down. Not really been into winning these sorts of events in the last few years, but it is a second place provisionally, and it's a strange sight seeing an empty Duomo Square, isn't it, in Milan. It's a shame for whoever wins it, I think, today. I know it's necessary, but it's still a very, very strange sight. I remember being there 3 years ago when we were in Piazza Duomo, and the Dutch were going mad, weren't they? Tom Dumoulin was the first winner from that nation. We're following Mathieu Bodnar right now. Faithful domestique for Peter Sagan in the classics. And back with Alex Dowsett as he's on his way into the finish now. Two kilometers from the finish for Alex Dowsett, who was 5 seconds down on his teammate Brennle at the 10-kilometer check. That is 2/3 of the way across the course. Now, I'm a little disappointed that the Italian TV director didn't show us the start of Adam Hansen. Adam Hansen is on the course and underway. It is his final race in professional cycling. Goodbye to Adam Hansen. I really hope we can see him across the line, but just in case we don't get to see that, because of course these pictures come from the host broadcaster on site, we're obviously really privileged to have one of Hansen's current teammates with us in the commentary box in the shape of Philippe Gilbert. And our other colleague Dan Lloyd had been doing some maths before we came to air today, gents. Apparently, with all the Grand Tours he's ridden, he's been 14 years as a professional. This is his 560th day racing in a Grand Tour. That's 2 years of his last 14 years on this planet at Grand Tours. And Philippe, I don't know what he's like as a teammate. You could tell us maybe a bit more about that before Alex Dowsett gets across the line quickly. But a word on Adam Hansen.
Yeah, Adam is a really nice guy, really smart, and he's not only a cyclist, you know, he's always a computer, working, making application, website, even making shoes, you know, with his own printer with carbon. And this guy is really impressive. He's able to analyze everything, so it's always interesting to have him in the team, because he will always give us like important information that no one will even mention and think about it. So he's really smart.
Yep, happy retirement to Adam Hansen. We hope to see him cross the line in a moment. This is a good ride though from Arnaud Demar, combatif over every type of terrain. Winner of the Maglia Ciclamino, and a deserved one at that. We'll talk more about him in a moment, because let's have a look at Alex Dowsett. This is the time he's got to beat. Looks as though he's been speeding up quite a bit in the second half of the course. He's really backloaded his effort, and the British champion is looking for stage win number 2. The time to beat has been set by his teammate Matthias Brenly. It's an 18:27, and the British champ is going to go into the hot seat. 18:22 from Alex Dowsett, 5 seconds down at the time check, 4.5 seconds up at the finish line, and that is the benchmark time for now. Now we go back to look at this man, because this looks like a really good ride from Miles Scotson. Wow, 16.6 seconds down, and there's a lot of teams who've had riders doing their business for others, surviving just to get to Milan. A lot of people are just trying to get round and get home at the end of a weary year. But Brian, I guess if you feel like you've got good legs on the last day, why not have a hit out?
Well, we got a bit of a surprise last year in Chad Hager, and why not this year? It's going to be very difficult with Ghana, but yeah, I think a lot of these riders have done their work. This is their opportunity, and Scotson, we know from the past that this is the type of discipline that he doesn't mind having a crack at. Tomorrow, well, there's no tomorrow. It's all about today. You know, this is the last race of the season for a lot of these riders, and you find that a lot of the riders get told in a time trial, you know, not to give 100%, but I think everybody can today. So if you want to go all out, and see what you can do. This is a big test against some of the best riders in the world, so why not give it a go? And Miles Scotson is certainly doing that now.
It's a matter of holding this pace to the finish. I suppose, Philippe, we saw quite an interesting illustration there of how you can pace your effort. You saw that Brenly went out hard, he was up at the time check, and even on just a short course like this, it makes a difference, Philippe, because if you can finish stronger like Dowsett did then, a little bit more in the tank, it can work for you.
Yeah, I think it's always possible to make difference, and we can see also that the fact of coming back on some other riders will make a difference also, like we see now on the image. You know, it's extra motivation, it's a focus you have as a bonus, and this can give you like a few seconds extra. And of course you can always use the motorbikes. They're never at the same distance for every rider, so sometimes you can use them, and when you have the chance to do it, you have to do it.
Have to make friends with a nice motorbike driver before you get out onto the course. There's Miles Scotson, who had Adam Hansen just in front of him there. And here is Adam Hansen. This might be our chance to say goodbye to him in professional cycling. And, well, he isn't leaving the world of sport, is he? He's off to race Ironman next year, I'm told. Winner of a Giro d'Italia stage quite a while back now, Adam Hansen. Stage 7 in 2013, the number 125 there. Also won a stage at the Vuelta in his career. Of course, set that record by completing 20 Grand Tours in a row between 2011 and 2018. It has been quite a career.
Yeah, it's very impressive because you have to focus every time after a Grand Tour, you know, rest a little bit, focus, train, and be ready, because he was not only riding, he was also doing a lot of work, always training for riding for the leaders, and also joining breakaways and even winning, so he really did it in a good way.
Here's another of your teammates, Stefan Oldani. He's off on his way to finish his first Grand Tour in his first year as a pro. And as far as Hansen's concerned, he's already competing in 2 weeks in Ironman. Ironman Portugal, I'm told. Eyes on Miles Scottson here. Australian rider in the French team Groupama FDJ. He's ridden his heart out for Arnaud Démare, and if you think back to some of the lead-outs and some of the sprints in that first week where it got a bit chaotic, we talked about how good Groupama were in their lead-out, the fact that they could all adapt and play different parts. And there are a couple of days where Scottson managed to either let the wheel go behind or he was off the front, and he helped to really contribute. Another of the big candidates for victory today, if he's got around with anything left in his legs. Mikel Biel, former World Under-23 champion, off for UAE Emirates, but all taped up and maybe one of the pedalling wounded as he comes to the final stage of his debut Grand Tour. Now this is a man to keep an eye on, because I think he's set a rip-roaring time here. Miles Scottson is in the hot seat to take the lead. Alex Dowsett just sat down on that hot seat. I don't think his bottom will be parked there for very long. Let's see. 18:22 is the time to beat, and Miles Scottson has put in the ride of his life here. We saw an unexpected win with Chad Hager 12 months ago. Miles Scottson is about to throw his hat into the ring. A brilliant pursuiter on the track. Here he is on the road, gunning for glory. And Miles Scottson is going to blow the top time out of the water. Have a look at that. 25 seconds quicker, and that is a monster ride. And talking of monster rides, they might be coming thick and fast, because here, Philippe, is your compatriot, Victor Campenaerts.
Yeah, but 52.5 average for Scottson is really impressive, and now we're going to see Campenaerts. He showed some good form also last day in the breakaway, so let's hope he can finally win a time trial at the highest level.
Yeah, he's obviously the world hour record holder, and we talk about him all the time, but at this top level, he hasn't won in the Grand Tour yet, Brian, and that's something that for him, he really has to achieve. Now, just before you come in on that, let's check this time by Bodnar, because we know he's a Tour de France time trial stage winner. He's up there, but of course that time by Scottson, as Philippe was just saying, 52 average, ridiculously quick. If you're 13 seconds down, it's hard to make that up, I guess, in 5Ks.
Yeah, I think it looks as if everybody's gone faster from the first or the only time check to the finish, but yeah, you're talking about Victor Campenaerts. He hasn't won at, you know, the kind of high level, although he's world hour record holder, European champion. But you know, there's always other better riders out there. He had a disappointment last year in the time trial with bike changes and things like that. Just doesn't seem to be going his way, and he is one of these specialists, and he has ridden well. And that second place he had on the stage, he looked really impressive, the shortened stage we had. But just going back to Miles Scottson there, I've been really impressed with him. Really impressed with him too. That is a bit of a surprise that he decided to go all in, but I'm glad he did. But mightily impressive how versatile that Groupama team is around Arnaud Démare, and I think Scottson is at the helm of that. He's taking it up. Remember that the stage, the fourth stage win, I think it was, or I forget, it's been so many.
One of those stage wins.
Yeah, one of
those fast finishes, you mean.
When he came round the corner and he went, they found it hard to bring him back there, and that kind of won the stage for Démare. I think it was his second there. But yeah, mightily impressive again today. And that's the sort of form you need in a lead-out train. People don't maybe understand this, but to go that fast in a time trial, as Philip just said there, over 52 kilometres an hour, that's the sort of stuff you have to do in a lead-out. That's why he can do this in this time trial. That's what they have to do.
I guess the distance is good for him as well. You know, you can start riding at the front and 15, 20 Ks to go. These sprint teams start amassing. And I followed him quite a bit in the under-23s and on the track. What I didn't know, and what our colleague Dan Loyes just told me, is that he had a couple of really good under-23 time trial wins on the road. There was one in particular at the Olympias Tour, over a really similar distance, 15.3 kilometers, and in that particular time trial he beat a young Bas Pedersen and a young Remy Cavagna. So he has form, but of course I guess it's the big thing as well, Philippe, and we can watch time trials all the time and we can judge people, but what we don't know in stage races is how everybody's feeling after all this time. And if the team has given you the freedom to ride as well, it's a difficult one to judge from the outside, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, because now today it's different because it's the last day. Like you mentioned, you can go all out. There's nothing to save anymore, and you can give everything left in the tank. But during a stage race, you try also to save your teammates, and you try to give them a day off, you know, no stress, and just spin the legs. So a lot of time you are not allowed to go all out, you know, because they expect you to work on the next day. So maybe for sprinters, they have a sprint the next day, so they try to go easy, you know. And but today is different. It's like maybe in a prologue, you know, everyone go also full gas on the prologue, so you can compare that to a prologue today.
Phil, we've just seen Peter Sagan, one of the older, dare I say it, riders in the peloton, just starting there, and you're also an older rider in the peloton, an experienced rider, but we've got so many, we're kind of blessed with all this young talent. I believe we're going to be going to an interview with Dario Cioni, and we'll come back to this, but I want to get your views on the young riders here, Almeida, and the fact that, you know, the Deceuninck Quickstep were coming here with Evenepoel, who you rode with in the Belgian national team. But we'll get this after the listen to Dario Cioni.
Yeah, here is Dario Cioni, the Ineos Grenadiers sports director.
Dario Daviccioni, direttore sportivo
Dario Daviccioni,
la giornata
Team Ineos Grenadiers.
Come è stata dalla
what a day with
verso la partenza.
Theo Gegenhardt. What's been happening so far today?
Well,
it's just as it is in quite a lot of time trials. He wakes up, has his breakfast, he's had a look at the course already. He went for a light lunch and a couple of hours before the start. He was there and he's training right now.
Well,
after what happened yesterday and that fantastic performance, how's he going to recover over these hours? How's he going to recover? And can he fight for the pink? Well, in the end, I think that, of course, he's still going to fight. He didn't really think about it too much a few days ago, so it's something quiet now. He thought about top 5 then, but now he's in a good position, and after plenty of championships and plenty of races, he's in a great position. He thought he could then fight for the general classification. Oh, what advice have you given him?
Sì, non è un super specialista, però in passato ha fatto delle crono discrete.
He's not a specialist in time trials, of course,
Già negli anni passati aveva
but he has ridden good time trials in the past.
Perché si sarebbe potuto giocare una corsa a tappe a crono, e magari ora si ritrova la più grande occasione della sua vita proprio a crono.
Of course, Jai Hindley's his opponent, and he's going to have a good day, and Theo Gegenhardt has one of the best days in his career. Well, Dennis Scanow, world champions, can they help?
Ognuno affronta il cronometro a suo modo.
Well, everybody takes on the time trial on their own, and nobody can ride it for them. Of course, he wants to have a look at Filippo Ganna. There's not too much to say about this parkour, really. There's a few roundabouts. It's quite simple, and it's relatively easy in terms of technical things compared to other time trials. I think Theo is going to be feeling confident.
Alla fine è una bella sfida, a trovarsi
What about
più forte oggi
against Jai Hindley? Are you confident against him?
A fare il miglior crono possibile.
Well, I'm confident that Teo wants to win the Giro, so he has to focus on his time trial. Well, I heard from Dario Cioni there. Apologies for a couple of little space I left. I was getting two translations in the ear at the same time now. I would have preferred to have done it myself. I listened to Dario Cioni, so I hope we sort of made sense there. Obviously non-committal, really. He didn't want to give too much away there, did he, Brian?
No, I don't think he would give anything away. They just have to be positive. Even interviews after. Jai was just like, you know, saying that, you know, he couldn't get rid of Teo yesterday. He tried. He thought he was suffering a little bit the penultimate climb. Teo, on the other hand, was really up. Both of them were on the limit yesterday in the final up to Sestriere, but Teo said he was really comfortable. So they're saying the right things. I was just going to ask a question to Philip, but I believe we're going to a commercial break at the moment. After the break.
Well, during the break for our digital viewers, remember, you can watch uninterrupted on the Eurosport app or the GCN Race Pass. Josef Czerny's on the way and he's one to watch. We've seen that Maciej Bodnar finished second whilst we're listening to the interview from Dario David-Cioni. This is Czerny, stage winner and top time trialist.
Philip,
watching Peter Sagan, and Brian, you wanted to ask Philip a question.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit interested in this young man, Evenepoel. He was supposed to come here and try and win the Giro d'Italia, and now we've got such young talent in cycling now. You know, as an older rider within the peloton, what do you think about that? And do you have any update on Evenepoel? Because he flashed onto the scene in the last few years. I think he tried to help you in Yorkshire last year when you had some troubles in the World Champions. What's he like? How's he doing? And your thoughts on these youngsters?
Yeah, Remco is not like everyone. This is the minimum we can say. He's really adult in his way of thinking, his way of acting also. And he's impressive in a way that he's saying what he's going to do before, you know, so he's never surprised, and he can tell you today I'm going to win and I'm going to win that way, and then, you know, sometimes you think, what is he saying now? And then 5 hours later you look at the results and he did what he said, you know. So at this age, he's really impressive, and yeah, he has a lot of confidence in his own capacities, and he knows exactly what he can do, and he do it. So yeah, it's really impressive, and I hope that he's able to keep going like that and go on the highest level, like we see now all these young guys. I would say, why not him?
Do you have any update on where he's at in his rehabilitation?
Yeah, we have some contacts, and he's working well. He started riding the bike again, and so at the end he started riding the bike still on a good moment, and this will give him I think just enough room to be ready for the first races of the season. And when you know him, he's going to do everything to be successful from the first race. So yeah, I think we can expect him winning from January or February 21.
Oh, we look forward to seeing Remco Evenepoel back in the professional peloton. Remember, we were supposed to be seeing right here at the Giro d'Italia his first effort for general classification in a Grand Tour. Now then, we are seeing, I think, that Mikel Biel is out of legs at this Giro d'Italia, and it's something we've noticed over the last week to 10 days. He was on fire for the first 10 stages or so, but he's 32 seconds down there, and yeah, he's going to get through. Been a big learning curve, an excellent debut, but out of legs by the final TT.
He was amazing, as you say, for the first kind of couple of weeks, and then he kind of fell away. He was really, really struggling, and you know that can happen, but it's all part of the learning process.
Kamil Gradek has just set the second fastest time at the finish, but I can tell you that the intermediate time check, as Gradek finishes 5.3 seconds down on Miles Scottson, we've had news from Victor Kapenaerts, who was 6 seconds quicker than our Australian leader. And that is brilliant news for the Belgian. Is this to be his first big day as a Grand Tour stage winner?
What do you think, Phil? Is he going to do it?
Let's hope so, but I think Ghana is impossible to beat. Honestly, Ghana is so impressive that it will be a big surprise if Kapenaerts can beat him today.
What is it that makes Ghana so special, Philippe? Obviously, you're talking as if he's some sort of extraterrestrial, superb time trialist. He showed us that so far, hasn't he, in this Giro d'Italia? He was brilliant in Palermo. That breakaway stage he won was absolutely incredible. Then the wine trial when he was winning amongst the Prosecco hills down there in the Veneto. Is it, I mean, you know, obviously you've got your ear to the ground, you're amongst the pros. Does he look that much better? What is it that makes him so special?
Like a lot of specialists, he's coming from the track, you know, and the track is another discipline. It's like everything is precise. The trainings are really precise also, and I think you have you learn really to deal with all your power, and you can really give back on the road all the power you have in the legs and your body. And I think like we saw also like a lot of English riders coming from the track, like Geraint Thomas, also Wiggins was coming from the track, and a lot of other riders. And I think that the track really gives you a lot of help for the time trial specialty.
Next question that we've asked all of our experts here at Eurosport and GCN. Are we going to see him go on and have a go at the GC in any time? Or would that spoil him?
I think he's a bit too heavy for that. And yeah, you know, then you have to make a choice, losing the weight. And then if he loses the weight to be a better climber, he will lose also this capacity of riding fast on the flat. So yeah, it's we will see still a young talent, and I don't know what Ineos Grenadier have in mind with him, but you will be not surprised to see maybe that they're going to try to have him doing a GC one day.
Yeah, it's something that I know that the Italians are pretty keen on, but I think when you look around the results at the end of this Giro d'Italia, no wonder they're keen on, because there's, after Vincenzo Nibali, you look around and there isn't any Italian GC talent at the moment, as we look at Victor Kapenaerts coming into the final 2 kilometers. But yeah, after the performance in the breakaway and on the climbs, I think there was a lot of excitement from Gazzetta, from the old heads, the Mosers and people like that. Similar riders who were good time trialists and then were able to do it over 3 weeks. People comparing him to Miguel Indurain. I guess that is something we're going to have to wait and see on.
Just looking at the data there of Victor Kapenaerts, he was holding for a long time there, 54 kilometers an hour. So some of these boys are flying around this course, and I think we're really expecting Victor Kapenaerts to be the fastest series. He's not that far away, always at 1,500 meters now to the finish. So you think that he's going to beat the time of Miles Scottson. Ghana, you know, his favourite for today, but I really do think that over the last few days, Victor Kapenaerts, when he got himself in that British route, really strong. Riding a time trial deep into this race, it does have a little bit of an effect. How is Ghana feeling? Is he super? He did a little bit work yesterday. Well, Victor Kapenaerts just could ride in the gruppetto yesterday, save himself a little bit. I think it might be a little bit closer than maybe we suggest, we think, with Kapenaerts, but he certainly is putting down the watts here to get the fastest time for the moment. It's how much time is he going to put into Scottson?
Well, here is the 28-year-old from Flanders. Victor Kapenaerts is inside the final few hundred meters now. Left turn coming up here. Another one follows that, and he's into the side streets of the cathedral. 550 meters to the line. He has never won a Grand Tour stage. He knows it's going to be difficult to beat Filippo Ganna. He said as much at the start of the race in the pre-race press conference. He was second at the Belgian Nationals, third at the Euros, second on that final stage of Tirreno Adriatico where he came up against Ganna flying, and here he is. He's going to come to the line. He should set the fastest time. He's 150 metres. 17:57 is that time to beat. It's his usual style, isn't it, where he's out the saddle and sprinting to the line before he's back in now. Here comes Victor Campenaerts, our record holder, and he's now onto the throne as the fastest man so far on stage 21 of this 103rd Giro d'Italia. 9 seconds quicker, and Campenaerts goes into the lead. And we remind you too, he's perhaps riding for his future here. No contract announced yet, an NTT, although there has been some positive talk in the background about maybe a new sponsor. Victor Campenaerts takes the lead, but you just never know in this world and in cycling. He'll be riding today as if it's the last day of his career.
Yeah, exactly, and there's a lot of riders doing that. Czerny as well with his stage win, but I'm just aware of the time with Phil. There's a couple of riders that I really want to kind of talk about before we lose Phil, and if we can start on Theo Gegenhardt. I believe you got to know Theo way back in 2012, Philip.
Yes, yeah, it was. We were there with the national team doing the Olympics, and Boonen got like a message on, I don't remember if it was Twitter or Instagram, and it was Theo sending him a message asking if he went for a ride before the Olympics. And we met him at the exit of the Olympic Village, and he did a road for us, you know, so a nice road. I think we went training for 3.5 hours, and he did the course for us. And he was junior back then, so he was really happy to be with us, and we gave him some bottles and things like that to thank him. And a few years back, he come next to me in the bunch, and he said, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "Well, not really." And then, because he has changed a lot back then, and he said, "You remember the young guy in London? It was me." So yeah, it was funny, and from that moment we were like, you know, good friends, and we speak always a lot together in the race. So I'm happy to see him in this situation now and fighting for the pink jersey.
Have you spoken to him in the last 24 hours?
No. I think that we have to let the riders focus. You know, they have enough stress and energy used with their own family, team, and the race itself. You know, so I'm never up to send much message to the guys when they're racing.
And just to balance things up, because you know we are kind of broadcasting throughout the world. I know there's a lot of Aussies. I'm not too sure how much you know of with Jai Hindley, but what has impressed you the most about him during this race?
Well, he's impressive on the climbs, really impressive. He spin the legs really nice and have a nice position. So he's a nice rider, but I think that Theo is stronger on the flat. So yeah, it's going to be a big battle today for the pink jersey, and I think that Theo have maybe an advantage on this course.
9 seconds down, Josef Czerny coming through the 10-kilometer time check. 5 Ks to the finish from that point on, and I think we're watching Peter Sagan here. Looks like his style, doesn't it? Getting around his first ever Tour of Italy, and Philippe, I know you're one that's given us some tremendous wins. I always remember commentating on that wonderful Ronde van Vlaanderen that you won a couple of years ago, and the long breakaway. What about this man's stage win? Because it was pretty special the way he did it. I can't remember many rides in a Grand Tour that have been ridden like a monument and won like a monument.
Yeah, I mean, Peter was fighting every day against the best sprinters like he always do, and he always came too short. So I think that day he just decided to change the race and go in the breakaway. It was a long fight with Groupama FDJ. They tried to get them back, and then at one point they had to leave the breakaway, and then he was really impressive because he win with the legs and also with the head, but he was really the strongest that day, and it was impressive to see him winning that way.
Phil, just on Sagan, what's it like racing against him as one of your rivals?
Honestly, I like being with him in the final because, you know, he's always on to ride, and he likes to race, he likes to attack, and when I'm with him, I know that I can give everything because he will do the same, and at the end, the best wins, you know, but he will never stay on your wheel and say, I'm not able, things like that, you know, he's always riding, and yeah, really nice rider.
Well, he started his first ever Giro d'Italia after doing all the publicity, showing off the art galleries, restaurants and everything in his northern Italian twang. But the former world champion from Slovakia is about to complete his own maiden lap of Italy. We hope to see him back here. It's been a very, very good experience for us all to watch him. Grazie, Peter Sagan. First Giro done and dusted. It's a country he loves, a country he's lived in, and where he learned to race. And I guess Maglia Ciclamino would have been the aim as well, Brian, but he'll be pretty happy with how we were just talking about the way he won that stage.
Magnificent. One of the stages of the Giro d'Italia for me, the way he went out there, and that was not easy. We heard it from Philippe there as well. He just went out there and he just rode everybody away. It's absolutely fantastic. Even a GC in battle behind, you know, he still rode, and absolutely magnificent stage for Peter Sagan. He would have loved to have the Ciclamino jersey, but I think he was beaten by the better sprinter in the day.
Davide Ballerini, off he goes for the Koenig Quick-Step. And what a way he's ridden, what a way his team's ridden. Philippe, former teammate of yours, Davide Ballerini, the Koenig Quick-Step have ridden a very good race, and a very different race for them, in charge of the Maglia Rosa for 15 days.
Yeah. I think they managed well, and Almeida was really strong and consistent, but the team was also really smart. They rode well, and yeah, I think they deliver a really nice Giro.
And there's a picture for somebody to keep for a lifetime. Peter Sagan, off he goes. And he won't be on the podium at the end of the day today. It's all done and dusted because it's Arnaud Démare who's going to take the Maglia Ciclamino. A few other prizes to be given out that will wrap up as well before we get to the big duel. Remember, this is the undercard really before the heavyweight bout contested by the two featherweight climbers. It's a strange old one, the last time trial of a Grand Tour. Matteo Sobredo is about to finish his first Grand Tour. Like everybody at NTT, he's hoping to have a job next year. We've got Philippe Gilbert with us, and Phil, is that something that we're hearing that is sort of felt in the peloton at the minute, this sort of uncertainty with COVID, a few teams going to the wall maybe? Is it, I know it's something that happens every year with people worrying about their contracts, but is it worse this year? Is it something that everybody's talking about?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of riders in trouble at the moment, and even teams, you know, so yeah, I think cycling never has been in such a bad situation, and I'm sure that cycling is not the only sport, but it's not easy for the moment. Like a lot of riders, a lot of staff members are unsure for their future, and of course it gives a lot of stress, a lot of tension. It's not the best situation to work, you know. So I think a lot of people in cycling world didn't really enjoy the last months, and it was a lot of stress for them. And I hope that a lot of them will still find a contract. That we saw now the last week or last 10 days, a lot of riders announced that they're going to stop because they didn't find anything. So yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for a lot of them.
Well, this man is about to finish his race. This is Josef Czerny. Of course, he's going to come really close to Victor Caperat's time here without actually beating it. Looks good that he might be up into second or third place for the moment, but he got a stage win the other day. And I know, Brian, that he is one of the riders who needs a contract for next year. We'll just see Czerny over the line. 18 minutes, third place, 12 down. Chad Hager on the road, winner of the final time trial last season. Sounds as though we're about to hear from Peter Sagan.
È appena terminato il Giro d'Italia di Peter Sagan. Peter, allora, che esperienza è stata questo Giro? Hai vinto una bellissima tappa. Come ti sei trovato?
Of course, you had that wonderful stage win.
Dopo
yeah,
due grandi giri quest'anno, che è stata
done 2 Grand Tours this year.
intensa, sono contento che
It's been really intense.
potevo arrivare qua a Milano.
I'm really happy and I wanted to get here and take the jersey in Milan, and I'm happy to get here.
Ti saresti aspettato Tao Geoghegan-Hart, Hindley che si
Did you expect Tao Geoghegan-Hart to be fighting it out today with Jai Hindley for the GC?
Penso che ha lasciato questo Giro d'Italia tante emozioni e
the Giro d'Italia has given us a lot of different emotions. It's been really interesting, and of course it's good that it's got down to the last time trial.
Non è stata banale, tu hai detto che hai vinto,
of course,
nello stile di Peter
Sagan. Was it?
È sicuramente tecnicamente una delle
You won in a wonderful play. And it was a Peter Sagan start. Yeah, I'm really happy that I pulled that victory off. And I'm glad I managed to take a win this year. I wanted to finish the season with a win because I hadn't had one until then, so it's good for me. I'm really happy about it. Applause even from the police there for Peter Sagan as he pedals off. Brian, I know you were desperate to interject before we had to go to Peter Sagan now.
No, I wasn't desperate. I was just, wanted to fire another question after question with Philippe.
You're going like Michael Parkinson, you?
Yeah, exactly. I know that in the past that, I've talked to you quite a lot, and, I was in negotiations with you when it came to MTN Quebec. You almost rode for an African team, but I know you're still riding at the moment, and you've ridden for a lot of good teams. But Philip, is there any team or any riders that, leaders or anybody else that you'd quite like to ride for? Any other teams or top riders? I know you've had, Cadel Evans in the past, and Greg Van Avermaet as your kind of co-leader in teams. But is there any kind of teams that stand out at the moment you think I'd maybe like to ride with them?
Oh, it's hard to pick one name like that, but yeah, of course I was riding with a lot of different riders, and it's just also different teams, different countries, different mentalities, and this is how I got also so much experience. So yeah, I was happy about having all these people and sharing time with them, and it's really hard to say one guy. I think the combination with sprinters is always good. Riders like Greipel, like Gaviria, riders that can win, but that they are also relaxed. They then don't give us pressure, and it's easy to collaborate with them. So maybe these two riders are the first ones to come in my mind.
We're continuing to watch the final stage of the Giro d'Italia. Stage 21 time trial in Milan. 15.7 of the flattest kilometres you'll find in cycling. Almost as flat as San Benedetto il Tronto. That's the time trial that we see every year at the end of Tirreno Adriatico. A little longer this one with Matteo Sobrero out there on the course. Talking about how difficult a year it's been for everybody and the uncertainty. Difficult year in which to begin your professional career, and here is Yuki Arashiro for Bahrain McLaren. Philippe, looking to next year, I know that everything's up in the air at the minute, but what are the plans that the teams are making for the winter? Because are they going to have training camps? I know that might be difficult or even impossible at the minute. Is there talk of a normal calendar? Do you know anything yet?
Yeah, the UCI gives the calendar before the Worlds, like every year, and let's hope that it will be possible to race there and have a normal season next year. But with the coronavirus problems and the situation of traveling, it's going to be similar, I think, for the first 6 months again of the next season. So yeah, let's hope for a normality from July, from the Tour de France next year, and let's hope to have a nice spring season.
Yeah, let's hope so too. I sit talking to you from in Spain. They've just announced a curfew that's going to last until April. So let's hope that things can develop a little nicer than perhaps they're seeming at the moment.
And Phil, this calendar, when you see it, what are your goals if we have a kind of normal calendar next year? I know you've always wanted to win all the monuments, and Milan San Remo is the one you really want to win. But what else is there left to win for Philippe Gilbert?
Well, I would like to, of course, be really good at San Remo and be able to fight for the win. But of course, I would like to go once in the Ardennes Classics with ambition. Because now the last 4 years I did I was training a lot for Flanders and Roubaix. And I left a little bit my chance for Liège and Amstel, and I want to focus once more on these races. And I don't know if it's going to be next year or in my last season, but one day I would like to come back with my full capacity at the start.
We're watching the final stage of the Giro d'Italia. A very warm welcome back to all of you watching on the television. If you'd like to watch this and every other remaining day of cycling uninterrupted, make sure you subscribe to the Eurosport app or the GCN Race Pass. There'll be a review of everything that happens today at the end. Tonight you'll get the breakaway and a bumper edition on the GCN Race Pass and the Eurosport player. Jan Tratnik has just started. Filippo Ganna is next in the start house, and it's his teammate Theo Gegenhardt up against the Maglia Rosa, the brand new Maglia Rosa, Jai Hindley, who we are looking for later on this afternoon. Current leader of the time trial is Victor Capenarts of NTT. And there's his teammate Matteo Sobrero, who has just zoomed past his minute man. That's Jefferson Cepeda, who is about to start the last few kilometres of his first Grand Tour. In fact, that's his 2-minute man. So either Cepeda's going like a sack of spuds, or the other man's going well. This man's been going well. World champion, looking for stage win number 4 to send the Ineos Grenadiers to 7th heaven. They could end up winning a third of the stages. It's Filippo Ganna going top ganning for one more time. The world champ, a special rider. This is his moment yet again. Question is, Brian Smith, what is left in the tank?
Yeah, that is the question. What is left in the tank for Ganna? I think there's still a lot left in that tank. You know, when you come into this race with the time trials, you think that he is the favourite, and that's why he's here to win the time trials. But the road stage he won, wow, that was absolutely incredible how he won that. I think in the first stage he held a little bit back because he didn't want to risk too much. It was a little bit tricky. I think he said that afterwards. He went full on up against Rowan Dennis in the second one, but this, if a time trial suits him, it's this one. It's flat, it's in Milan. You know, everybody will be cheering him on, and I think we're just going to see another amazing performance from Ganna today.
Well, his biggest threat might come internally, at home, and that is Rowan Dennis, his teammate. That's been the way we expected today to pan out. And Dennis himself takes to the start in just over 25 minutes' time. The South Australian, they're hoping to make it another big day for his team. A man who's almost single-handedly changed the course of the race, you'd say, Rowan Dennis. More about him when he comes onto the start. But we are following Ganna here. Stage winner Maglia Rosa in Palermo. It's not going to be Maglia Rosa in Milan. He'll be hoping his teammate is. But he might be a stage winner for a 4th time. And it's his Grand Tour debut. Can't remember too many debuts like this. We're back with Sobrero, who's just going to go under the Flamme Rouge, the Fiamma Rossa. 1 kilometre to go for him. 17:05. Looks to be putting in a decent number. There's Ganna already pushing it right to the limit.
He definitely is going in there with some speed there and a little bit technical. We've seen Victor Campenaerts go to the left there, but Ganna deciding to go to the right. But just look at the support he's got. Many nationalities are here. It's not just all about, you know, the Italians, but the noise all the way into this finish is just going to be amazing for this athlete.
Looks $1 million on the bike as well. On that 25 grand bike. Not cheap, are they? Complete flat back. Position measured to every millimetre in the wind tunnel. Looking for those lines, as Philippe was explaining earlier on in the recon. I guess he's in a perfect position in here, isn't he, Jennings? He's already won the stages. I know he will put pressure on himself and he will hear the fans, but it's not a disaster if he doesn't win today, is it?
I don't think it's a disaster, but he want to win. You know, if any of the time trials, I think this is the one to win. The last one in the heart of Milan, and you know, as a world champion, you know, how often is he going to be able to get this opportunity? So I would think that this is definitely on his radar and something that you want to tick off, and you can't really look past him.
I think a fair point as well is that he's at home here. He's from just up the road in Verbania, so he is at home in Lombardy. Hasn't seen his family for a long time, just like everybody. Now let's hear from the man who's leading so far. Let's go to the Belgian star, Victor Campenaerts.
You just left the hot seat for a moment. You want to go back there? Definitely. Victor Campenaerts leading at the moment. How are you feeling and how happy are we with your performance today?
I'm very happy that the Giro is finished. I think I did a good ride and I think I have about 16 minutes left in the hot seat. What do you think?
He's, while we're talking, I think he's just taking off, so Filippo Ganna is on his way. So.
Yeah, for sure he's a big favorite. It's a super fast parcours and there are some corners, not technical corners, but he's super fast and he can take a corner like nobody else. But I think I did a good time trial. I've done some Grand Tour. It's my 6th Grand Tour, but this one I was very tired to finish. I had a good performance 2 days ago, but happy to go home.
Do you think it was the Giro in general or because of a strange, really strange season?
I think it was a really strange season. As you probably know, as a rider, you know more or less what's going to happen in the season and which races are coming. Most riders do more or less the same program every year after year, so you know exactly how to prepare and when you will feel tired and when you will feel in a good shape. And I think I was maybe a bit too good in Tirreno Adriatico and a bit over the top in the Giro. I'm happy I could help Pozzo very well, and I had a good breakaway 2 days ago, but tired.
Thank you. You get some rest now. Season is over.
Thank you.
So that is Victor Campenaerts. He says in the hot seat for just a few more minutes until this man flies over the line. In the hot seat for just a minute more with us, Philippe Gilbert. Philippe, just before you leave us and go and join our colleagues across the rest of Europe, I know you speak French, Dutch, Italian as well as brilliant English with us. Thanks for joining us. I just want to wish you the best for a nice off-season. We hope to see you winning again next year.
Thank you very much, and it was a nice experience again. And yeah, I hope that for UK, Theo gonna win today. So I will be crossing my fingers for you guys.
Our Australian listeners, close your ears at that point. Philippe Gilbert, merci, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're with Filippo Ganna. Remember, we get the first time check in 4 kilometers time. He is absolutely flying, and I think Bernie Eisel used the right phrase there, didn't he, Brian? He's just taken off.
wasn't it funny? And when you compare the two interviews, the first one in the time trial with Victor Campenaerts was scathing of the organisation, and then that interview, and he was genuinely happy. He'd finished the Giro d'Italia, he'd ridden well in the time trial. Whether it's going to be good enough, he doesn't seem to think so. But yeah, he's definitely a character, and it has to be difficult when you're up against someone as good as Filippo Ganna. You can only do your best, and here we're seeing, I think, Chad Hager doing his best as well, winner of the final time trial last year.
Back to the finish line. This should be Davide Ballerini, and he's good enough for a 10th place so far. 58.2 seconds down. Average speed of 50.2 kilometers per hour, finishing in front of the Duomo in the center of Milan, the cathedral. Huge undercover, beautiful shopping arcade next door as well. Such a sad sight to see so few people about. So we understand the reasons, and it's much better that that's the case. But it is a strange way to finish this Giro d'Italia. Who's going to win it, though? That is the question. Who's going to win it? Filippo Ganna, everybody's favourite for the stage. But as I said, stage win today is the sort of undercard before the heavyweight bout contested by those two featherweight climbers. Never before, at the end of a Grand Tour, have two riders been level on time. Theo Gegenhardt from East London in second place. Jai Hindley from Perth in Western Australia in the Maglia Rosa. Could he be the first ever Australian to win the Giro? And well for Theo Gegenhardt. 8 years ago, a kid from Kilburn in North London. Brad Wiggins won the Tour de France. And from the other side of the city, Theo Gegenhardt looking to do the same, but at the Giro. Who do you think's going to win? You can get in touch with us, remember. You can download the GCN app. There's plenty of quizzes and polls to be involved, and put your vote in. You can let Brian and I know, at Bryce Smithy, for the man who's next to me in the commentary box. Well, 1,000 kilometres away in Bath, but you're next to me. Or at Rob Hatch TV here. It's been a long 3 weeks, but a really entertaining 3 weeks. We're going to be saying goodbye on commentary to the season today. It's been a pleasure to have you with us. And Chad Hager is going to say goodbye to his season as well, with another really good ride at the end of a Giro d'Italia. He isn't going to go into the hot seat today. It's a completely flat time trial. Needs a bit more of a selective course for him. But a 4th place at 12 seconds down for now is a super ride from the American. Hat off. Two minutes past 3 local time. In an hour's time, we'll be into our 10-minute warning. Because at 12 minutes past 4 local time, Jai Hindley will set off in the Maglia Rosa in search of glory. 3 minutes in front of him will be Theo Gegenhardt. Both riders on the same time. It's basically a penalty kick competition to see who wins the Giro d'Italia. Fastest across the line will take the Maglia Rosa. And whoever it will be, they will make history in their own way. No Australian has ever won the Giro. Theo Gegenhardt looking to become only the 2nd Briton. But if he wins the Giro, he'll be the only man ever to win the race on the road without pulling on the Maglia Rosa until after the race. Now then, this is stage win stuff. And this is Filippo Ganna, who is absolutely flying. Oh, he's taken 20 seconds out. You know what that means, don't you? Aye, aye, aye. Off you pop, back to the bus, mate. Incredible, Brian.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Incredible. 20 seconds. These guys are going absolutely flat out. And that time check, where it is, you know, on the course, You know, I know we're closer to the finish. It's like kind of 2/3 the way through the course today, and everybody's gone that little bit faster in the run in towards the finish, and we're talking about possibly almost 30 seconds here of a beating from, you know, the rest of the riders that have preceded them. Okay, we've still got Rowan Dennis to come, but Rowan Dennis's performances over the last few days have absolutely been amazing. It will have taken a bit out of him, I would think. But this man is just flying yet again. It's no real surprise. I don't know why we're getting surprised at this.
The thing is, yeah, we aren't surprised because we expect it from him, but we're being spoiled, aren't we? We're being completely spoiled right now with top quality, top caliber racing. I think we're in a really, really special era. Not just with the drama that we've got coming up later today, because these are two unexpected riders challenging for the GC, let's not forget. But in terms of top sprinters, top GC riders, what Pogacar and Roglic were doing at the Tour de France, what the time trialists are doing, as you say, it's not just Gann now, it's Dennis as well. The numbers are stratospheric night now, and on the track this man goes as fast on his own over 4 kilometres as they did in a 4-man in team pursuit a few years ago. 3.5 Ks to the line. And the streets of Milan, well, they're as full as they're allowed to be. For a Milanese rider, a rider from Lombardy, just down the road in Verbania, trying to win at home. If he can win at home, it will be the 7th stage win for the Ineos Grenadiers. Now, we all know, and we all hear often about their 2012 Tour de France win. It was a rather good one, because it was the first ever British Tour de France win for Brad Wiggins. But they also took 6 stage wins there, and to this day, statistically, that remains their best ever Grand Tour. Stage win today, and if Theo Gegenhardt beats Jai Hindley later on, this will become their statistically best ever Grand Tour. And after losing Geraint Thomas on stage 3, remember, before we'd even hit the slopes of the first mountain, that would be a remarkable recovery.
Fantastic recovery. And I thought you were going to say, who needs Geraint Thomas? Well, imagine if he was here, what would have happened? Wow. They wouldn't have, they might have won the race, but they wouldn't have had, I don't think, as many stage wins. They would have had these 3 time trials, of course, but you know, we can talk about this a lot. You know, I'd like to have seen Geraint here and try and win the Giro d'Italia. That unfortunate incident in stage 3. But then again, for Australia, this is going to be their best performance in the Giro d'Italia. I think it was Cadel Evans was 3rd overall in the past.
Yes.
So
the only man on the podium previously at the Giro.
Yeah. So for Jai to be able to do that from Western Australia, absolutely great. And you know, I know this is a lot of kind of young crop of Aussies at the moment, and you know, I can remember when I was a pro, there was very little. There's Phil Anderson, Alan Piper, and you know, very little Australians. And you talked about the track, and you know, the Brits coming from the track, Geraint Thomas, Bradley Wiggins, but the Aussies have been close. I think the Aussies got it sorted before the Brits did, the Institute of Sport, and they're producing a lot of riders on the track and then onto the roads. You know, you think of Stuart O'Grady in my day, and there's a lot of top riders, and Australian cycling's come along a long way, and they've got a really good crop of young riders at the moment that are riding with belief and valour. And the way Jai Hindley has gone about his business here, okay, his leader, well, so-called, before we came in, his leader, Wilco Kelderman, has failed a little bit, but he's kind of stepped up and absolutely brilliant. It would have been maybe a different story if they came in here with Jai Hindley as the leader of the team, but we can't look back, we can only look forward, and so is this man here.
Filippo Ganna has gone supersonic yet again. This time in Lombardy, this time in Milan, and he is going to set the fastest time. He's looking for stage win number 4 of what has been a tremendous Giro d'Italia, a debut Giro d'Italia. It hasn't been the easiest of watch for Italy at times. For the first time in the history of this race, it's very likely there's going to be no Italian in the top 5 in the general classification. There's a national crisis in that respect. But this man is the future. This man is very much the present. Filippo Ganna, take a bow. Fastest time to the supersonic Italian. He's looking for 7th heaven for the Ineos Grenadiers. And even the world hour record holder applauds his effort. 31.5 seconds quicker. Ganna again in Italy. .739 kilometers per hour. He took off and he stayed fast on a typical murky day in the capital of Lombardy. Filippo Ganna leading by over half a minute from Victor Kapanarts. Miles Scottson in third at 41 in one of the top performances of the day. Czerny in fourth, Hager in fifth, Gradek, Tratnik and Bodnar, all names we'd expect up here at this time. A few of you asking about when he's going to try the hour record. At the minute, we're told from sources quite close to him that he doesn't have immediate plans to do that. It's all about the Olympic Games. It should have been the case this summer, but it should be next year if the Olympic Games happen in Tokyo. And you imagine that if he's going to stay at the Ineos Grenadiers, do what they want him to do and develop the way they might want him to develop, that would be the last big hurrah you imagine on the track for him.
Yeah, you'd think so. Does he need to do it? I don't know. Brad thinks if he does do it, he'll just, blow it out of the park. But I think first and foremost, he concentrates on the Olympics. That's what he's been talking about. This has been a magnificent Giro d'Italia. 4 stage wins. Who would have thought of that? I thought, 3 with the time trials, but 4. What else does he have to do? A world champion. But I think it's looking back over the years, and I remember speaking to Bettini with regards to being a world champion and being an Olympic champion, and he went Olympic champion all the way because it just boosted him. His PR throughout the whole of the country, being an Olympic champion than a world champion, and that says a lot for Italian cycling. And so I think for Ganna, that Olympic gold in the time trial, that's what he's gunning for.
Combativity Prize leader Thomas de Gent. No Grand Tour stage win this year, but he's giving it a try in the time trial. He'd need the performance of his life to beat Filippo Ganna. I think he'll know that by now. De Gent will get round, and we will see him again next season. Davide Villela time. This man is from Lombardy. He's from just up the road near Bergamo. Finishing his first Giro in Movistar colours, but he's ridden here before. One more home stage to go. We're now not far off witnessing the conclusion of a wonderful story. One which 3 weeks ago had very different protagonists. Jai Hindley and Theo Gegenhardt were in the supporting cast. They weren't supposed to be taking the leading role, but they're both up for the Oscar here. And here is one of the supporting cast. He's tried and tried and tried. He's been really attempting to get a stage win. He's had rare freedom. Salvatore Puccio, key part of what the Ineos Grenadiers have done. And he has finished yet another Giro d'Italia. 14th place for the experienced domestique, who we remind you wore the Maglia Rosa on debut all the way back in 2013. Diego Ulissi time. Couple of stage wins here. Now has 8 in his relationship with the Giro. No pretensions of any stage wins today, I don't think. And I suppose that's the problem for everyone out on the course if you're not fighting for GC now. Having seen what Ganna's just done, you just ride round, get on the bus and go home.
Yeah.
Unless you're Rowan Dennis.
Yeah, if you're not really like a TT specialist, and nothing against Elise, but 2 stage wins already. You know, he's had a superb Giro d'Italia. He'll just want to get through this, kind of finish the season. But it has been a good couple of stage wins for Elise. He had a bit of a help in the second one from Duconi Quickstep. We were able to keep Sagan at bay, but and still had to sprint for the victory. But the one for me was the stage 2, where he hands down won that stage. Perfect sprint for him, perfect finish, and he's some rider when it comes to the Giro d'Italia.
This man's some rider who's tried and tried and tried. He's going to be on the podium at the end. There's the combativity prize that he should take away. And who is up there with a decent lead over Simon Pilot. Another stage win for Filippo Ganna would give him more points, but I don't think, from memory, looking at that prize last night, he was quite close enough to trouble Thomas de Gent. We're going to see the Fuga prize given out. That's going to go to Mattia Bais. He's won that prize. Intermediate sprints prize has been won by Simon Pilot. So that's 2 prizes taken away by the Androni Giocattoli team, who we hope to see next year, but he should have a different name, because we're told that Androni are pulling out as a sponsor after, what is it, probably just over a decade, I think, with that team.
They're actually one of the only teams that have finished with 8 riders. I'll just go through them now. AG2R, 6 riders. Androni we've mentioned with 8 riders. Astana with 5. Bahrain McLaren with 8. Bardiani with 7. Bora with 7. Israel Startup Nation with 7. Groupama with 6. EF Pro Cycling 6. 8 riders from Duconi Quickstep. Cofidis 7. CCC 7. Lotto Soudal, Thomas Against team have got a full complement of 8 riders. Movistar with 8, NTT with 8, 6 for the Ineos team, 7 Sunweb, Segafredo 5, UAE to 5, and Vinny Sabu 5.
20 seconds, attenzione a Dennis.
Here we go. The big challenger in the domestic battle for the stage win. The MVP of the Giro d'Italia. The man who almost single-handedly has changed the course of the race and set up this finale. Rowan Dennis was a menace yesterday. Can he get in the way of his teammate Filippo Ganna? The only realistic challenger, as the corona fog cleared and only mountains stood in the way. Dennis went to work the other day. He's got one last opportunity on the roads to Milan. Brian, can he do it?
He'll put up a good show. What he has to do, maybe has to concentrate on his own performance, but think that he's got tail Gegenhardt on the wheel. So if he does that, then anything from Rowan Dennis. But I think it's still going to be very difficult to beat his teammate Filippo Ganna with the time he's already put down. Ganna set a time of 17 minutes and 16 seconds, 54.556 kilometres an hour.
Well, we know that late night down in Australia, whatever the various time zones that you are watching in, there are plenty of you tuning in to try and see Jai Hindley make history. But this man could provide some other bit of joy. The South Australian Rowan Dennis trying for his stage win. Let's go back to those interview mics.
So what's your emotion today in this moment?
I'm emotional, and I think people maybe I don't. I'm intense, I think, at times. You know, people think well, I probably am intense, to be fair, and that makes me, you know, I really think about things, and I'm always thinking about things. But inside, I came to this sport when I was a young guy because I loved racing. It attracted me because it was all about racing. And I think, you know, God, over the last 10 years, we've won a lot. There's no doubt about it. We won a lot. But then as we got older, you think, actually, what's it all about? You know, and actually it is about, there's as much about the style of racing, how you go about racing, and it's about the racers. It's more important about these, you know, it's about Rowan Dennis's story here, or Teo from London, went to see Bradley when we launched Team Sky, and here he is now doing this. I mean, it's unbelievable. He idolised Bradley. I mean, and he kind of all connects, and so, I don't know, my emotion is one of just a pure enjoyment, you know, really, really relishing the kind of new sort of philosophy that the sport's got at the minute, and we're going to embrace that and just go out and see how good we can be at racing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I was impressed.
The racing's different today after we heard from Dave Brailsford there. We've seen and overseen now that full circle of starting the team 10 years ago, having a young fan riding behind his idol as the team launched. Then they went on to win all they did with their various riders, Wiggins, Froome, Bernal and company, Geraint Thomas as well. And here they are with that young fan riding to try and win a Giro d'Italia. Here's one of the winners at the end. Rubem Guerreiro is a history maker, the first Portuguese to win a jersey at a Grand Tour. Parabéns, Portugal. Congratulations, Rubem Guerreiro. EF Pro Cycling were making headlines, weren't they, before the start of the Giro d'Italia? They've done it now with those duck hats still on. And Scrooge McDuck is finally smiling because Guerreiro has done it and he will win the King of the Mountains. How's Dennis looking to you?
He's looking good. He always looks good. You know, this is his discipline, but he doesn't look as immense as Filippo Ganna does. I'm sure he'll do a very good time, but I can only think what his exploits over Stelvio and Sestriere yesterday will have a bit of an effect on his performance today.
Well, he was one of those riders who were able to get a helicopter transfer yesterday. Ineos Grenadiers laying on helicopters from the top of the mountain, all the way from Sestriere to Milan to the hotel. Some web riders having to go on the bus. Of course, that's the normal thing. Rowan Dennis getting that little bit extra rest. Of course, they're going for the stages, but they're also going for the GC, and well, they're after the prize, aren't they? Treasure hunt in the helicopter like Annika Rice, or on the buses like Inspector Blakely. We'll be hoping that all of that extra investment pays off.
Di squadra di Filippo Ganna, come abbiamo detto ieri, è stato veramente eccezionale e determinante per il...
We'll get our first ideas to how Rowan Dennis is really going in around 5K's time when we get the time check.
In questa prova finale con lo stesso tempo, 86 centesimi, lo dividono dalla maglia rosa di Jai Hindley.
So Rowan Dennis, just over 6 minutes into his effort. Former world champion in this discipline. I think this rider has been one of the men, if not the man of the Giro d'Italia. And the amount of work he's put in, super domestic. Don't think anybody would have thought that in the Stelvio stage it would be Rowan Dennis blowing the field apart and opening up the battle for pink. Then he did likewise yesterday in Sestriere. Absolutely amazing rider. We talked to Philip Gilbert earlier on, about why he doesn't go for Grand Tours. He did try. Another good Aussie, Chris Hamilton, just starting. As we said a little bit earlier, good crop of Aussie talent coming through. Stage 15, we saw this man start the attack of Team Sunweb. But yeah, Rohan Dennis second to Bernal in Tour de Suisse. I think it was last year. Climbing well, time trial specialist. But just doesn't seem to want to maybe look at concentrating on Grand Tours. Happy to focus on time trials. And sometimes it takes a different kind of outlook, a different mentality as a GC rider. Day in, day out. Is it something that Dennis wants to do? Well, I tell you what, if I was a GC contender on the performance that he's done here in the Giro d'Italia, he'd be my #1 choice.
Enrico Battaglin moving teams next year. '28th place, nothing to shout home about. Going back to the Italian domestic scene. It's the final time trial of the Giro d'Italia. It's one of the nicer shots we've been seeing. All the way into Milan. It looks like they've got the drone up. And that's one of the EF riders. Back to the start, and Attila Walter would have been hoping to start this Giro d'Italia in his native Hungary. Hasn't happened though, with all that's happened with the coronavirus crisis. He's going to get round at the end, and he's going to be racing for a new team next year. He'll be going to Groupama FDJ. Look forward to seeing how he gets on in his development as a GC man. But this man changed the course of the GC, and I guess it is worth acknowledging the incredible work he did again on the mountain. It wasn't just a Stelvio. We were wondering how long it was going to last, where he was going to get to. Yesterday, I guess, it was the same. Because once he'd been distanced, you didn't expect to see him again. But he came past, and what an image that must have been for Jai Hindley when his compatriot returned, and I guess that must knock the confidence a bit, Brian.
That's exactly that. I really didn't expect. I think I was saying at the time in the Stelvio, you know, waiting for Theo to have a dig. I didn't think Dennis would be able to do that, but he did, and absolutely amazing to see him do that. And like you say, yesterday he was kind of half expected to do the same. Nothing's going to surprise me now from Rohan Dennis, and I think you're right. He didn't need to keep on coming back. He did. He kept the power down, came back, and it's the way he went past and just went, Theo just got on my wheel again. His goal was to get Theo into the last 2 kilometres, then his job was done, and that's what he did. And absolutely amazing performance. We've seen a lot of amazing performances in this year's Giro d'Italia, and it's just been a fantastic watch. Okay, we had the problem over the shortened stage, but you know that was one stage, and looking at where we are now, 2 young riders on the verge of doing something extra special, something that I don't think either of them thought would happen. They came to this Grand Tour to support their leader, and now they're on the verge of winning. And I know we're talking about Theo Gegenhardt as being on paper the strongest time trial specialist, but this can come down to the mentality as well. It's not going to be. I still think it's going to be very hard to call. Jai Hindley does the time trial of his life, then why not? If Theo has a bit of a wobble, which he doesn't come across, is that sort, he comes across kind of very confident. But yeah, it's going to be building up to the battle for pink.
Now then, 22 seconds down for Rowan Dennis at the time check. It looks as though Filippo Ganna is safe with 5Ks to go. Rowan Dennis then, realistically the only big challenger on paper. That is, unless there is some surprise coming from somewhere. But we always knew that today's action, today's excitement would come from the last two riders. We know that Pello Bilbao will be desperately trying to get onto the podium, but there's a bit too much time to make. Jonathan Castroviejo is a strong time trialist. He's a former Spanish national champion. And because he was in the Ineos Grenadiers bubble, he was unable to go and defend his national title this year. Went to Pello Bilbao, his fellow Basque man. Very good on a hilly course. Not particularly Jonathan Castroviejo's favoured course, this flat one, you would think. Let's finish Thomas against Giro. Always an entertainer, most often at the front, and a rare occasion at the back. Here in the Giro d'Italia on the final day. For now, he's going to be in the top 10. Thomas against yet another lap of Italy and another consecutive Grand Tour. He's been doing them since 2018 now. A minute and 2 down. Thank you, Thomas. We'll see you next year. Up on your hollybogs. Staycations this winter, staycations.
He'll probably ride home from Milan, which he did last year from Lombardy, knowing him. But yeah, is it Rowan Dennis, Louis Meintjes just on the left-hand side for NTT, but Dennis coming up here, and he still looks pretty solid. He's given it absolutely everything, but you know, we expect that from Rowan Dennis.
Rowan Dennis and Louis Meintjes, possibly the most poorly matched cyclists out there in the peloton. Complete opposites in terms of physique and what type of riding they do. As the world champion salutes us, watching his mate Dennis. And I suppose if anybody would have beaten him, we'd want it to be Rowan Dennis. What we saw at the first time check, though, suggests that Ganna is safe. He's heading for stage win number 4. And to bring it home for Ineos Grenadiers for the 7th time. Which, if Theo Gegenhardt was to win the GC, would make it statistically the best ever Grand Tour that the Ineos Grenadiers have had. And it's been 10 years now that they've been riding. Louis Meintjes, I'm sure we will see in the peloton again next year. There have been quite a few rumours of a couple of different teams looking for his signature.
I don't think we were showing it, Rob, but on the intermediates, Rowan Dennis came through in 4th place, 22 seconds down. 22.
Good number for you Aussies watching. Keep you up at night and honour the great man. See if it can be a marvellous time trial from Rowan Dennis in the end. That's Diego Ulissi completing his lap of Italy, and a very good one at that from him. Fifth place in the time trial was never going to be a threat here. Not normally one to trouble the scorers at all in a TT, but he's taken 2 stage wins. He now has 8, more than the great Vincenzo Nibali. Which Nibali's got a couple of pink jerseys to show for his time here. Ben O'Connor, the cricketer from WA. The man who's got the Italians talking about the Australian version of Subiaco, a district of Perth where he comes from. Says he still wants to go back and play cricket when he finishes with cycling. Does Ben O'Connor. He's going to be moving on to Age de Zella Mondial. And he's going to be the first Australian rider they've had since Simon Gerrans 13 years ago. And I know that Gero is watching on, I think, still quarantining after his trip back home, moving back to Australia. And Simon Gerrans left the baton at Age de Zella Mondial in 2007. And O'Connor is going to pick it up. Stage win doing the job for him, and it's a 1-year contract for the 24-year-old Aussie. Go from WA to South Australia. And Dennis does have family in Western Australia, actually. His wife is from WA. But Rowan Dennis coming into the finish here. And he is not going to break the time set by his teammate Ganna. Looks as though the stage win is done and dusted. Difficult to see another challenger from here. And Rowan Dennis is going to put in another credible performance. But it's his performances in the mountains that have changed this Giro d'Italia, the shape of it, and provided the grand finale. Whoever you support, whoever you are rooting for, it's all been set up by this man. Take a bow, Rowan Dennis. What a Giro. We'll be celebrating a stage win with this man, we think, tonight. But will there be a Maglia Rosa involved as well? Dennis provisionally in third place in the final time trial in Milan, and another very good ride. But again, Brian, the rides we will remember were on the Stelvio and in Sestria.
Anche in questo caso però
This is how it stands so far today. Best intermediate times and the all-important finish best time going to Filippo Ganna on his way quite comfortably to stage win number 4 of this particular Giro d'Italia. We've been talking about Australians for quite a while, how they've influenced this race. Here's another man looking to do the same. The 2004 Olympic team pursuit gold medalist, Luke Roberts.
Luke Roberts, Sport Director, Team Sunweb, the final battle. Everything is ready for the battle between Jai and Tao. Let's start from the bike. We have here the jewel, our Cervelo, that Jai will use on the TT. Can you give us any detail about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Cervelo P5 with disc brakes Jai's using. Today with a 56 chainring on, it will be a very fast parcours. The last TT was we had quite a steep climb in there, but also very fast downhill section. So the gearing was different in that stage than what we're using today. Today's basically made for a high-speed flat parcours. There we needed really extreme gearing, so a small, very small, or low small gearing, and yeah, even a 58 chainring on the front. Whereas yeah, here we're, as I said, made for speed on the flat. Yeah, Jai's been fitted to this bike, tested on the track, also in the wind tunnel. So custom made, obviously, for him, and a lot of time invested in creating his position on the bike as aerodynamic as possible. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, yeah, obviously the super fast Continental tyres on here we're using also. Shimano components.
And what about Jay? How is he? How does he feel? What's his mood today?
Yeah, he's really relaxed. I mean, he's gone throughout this race relaxed, enjoying it, enjoying every moment of it. Yeah, he has no expectations on his shoulders today. He's realises on paper Tao is the favourite to take the win overall. Jai still, I mean, he sits in a really good position. He can ride into Milan in the pink jersey, enjoying every moment of it, giving it his all, and what happens at the end happens. But he's quite relaxed about it and really going to enjoy his day.
He's enjoyed his 3-week race as Brandon McNulty. Exciting US talent rolling down the start ramp. We're into the top 15 now. 5 minutes will hit the top 10. And the formula will change. Each and every rider will be separated by 3 minutes. We'll be inching up to those differences that can be made in the general classification. And to the battle we are all looking forward to. The first time in the history of almost 120 years of Grand Tour racing, with 2 riders coming into the final stage on the same time. I hope you're all ready. We certainly are. We're off for a big break, a final espresso. I'll be back with it soon. And for those of you watching on our digital platforms, thanks for staying with us. You are not going to miss a minute. There's Martin Tusveld was on his way to the check there. We heard that from Luke Roberts, didn't we? He's one of the coaches, as they call them in Sunweb, but I suppose in real parlance, they're director sportif. Luke Roberts and Matt Winston, who've been in the car. Winston's had a very long time of it, hasn't he? Did the Tour de France as well to great success. As we watch Tanel Kangat here. And he's going to bring the Ducks home. Lots of success to back up the talking of the talk. They certainly walked the walk, didn't they? A couple of stage wins. And the Maglia Azzurra with Ruben Guerreiro. This man very open about how he was feeling. We might have expected more in the mountains from Tanel Kangat, but saying he was absolutely shot at, tired out after doing too much training on the road in Estonia, where they were allowed to ride on the road during the lockdown period for most of the rest of the world. Coming to the Giro d'Italia tired, but he's finished another one. He's got round, and I'm sure we'll see him again. Building up to the battle. Who's next? Manu dropped off on GC quite dramatically yesterday. We saw him distanced early on. 19 minutes, 17 seconds down. Not a good day for Rafał Majka. He mentioned early in the week that he'd been a little ill, and I think we might have seen the culmination of that, Brian.
Yeah, I got confirmation on that from our Polish colleagues, Adam Probosz, to say that for the last 3 or 4 days now that Rafał Majka has had stomach problems and not feeling well. So really no surprise, but good to see him still in the race. And I think that's why we saw him talking the other day with Pérez Sagan. Maybe wasn't feeling good. Maybe it would have helped in the end to try and bring that break back. But I think it was a big ask. And yesterday we saw him kind of dropping off very early.
Honoré across the line. It's been quite a couple of weeks for him, hasn't it? Engaged to be married at the last time trial. He finishes his adopted home race as an Italian resident. Just outside the top 10. Is this his last Giro? Is this his last day here? It's Domenico Pozzovivo. 11 minutes 40 down. Domenico Pozzovivo in the position he really doesn't like. He's on his time trial bike, but he is riding at 37 years of age, a final stage of yet another Giro, one that he's really had to battle harder than ever to get around. His body is battered and bruised, as are Jonathan Castroviejo's legs. He's way down at the time check there for one of the top time trialists in the race. 1:17 down. He has left it all on the road at the Tour and now the Giro. Ah, this is the Bosco Verticale. You see what they've done with trying to create a little more of a park atmosphere in Milan in the last few years. One of the worst cities in the world for pollution it was. And on a couple of new blocks of flats there, they've put a little bit of a forest in. Centre of Milan's changed quite dramatically in the last few years. Don't think we're going to expect the podium of this particular stage to change dramatically, are we, from now to the finish? Because third place we have Rowan Dennis. Just a second in front of him. At 32 is Victor Caponarts. And Filippo Ganna leading in the hot seat. Don't think anybody's going to budge his bottom from it.
The last week is definitely what has definitely taken its toll. But look, I'm just glad I could finish this race and have a strong TT, but obviously completely dead.
What kind of advice are you going to give to Tao? I mean, everybody's waiting for his time trial.
Start fast, finish faster. I think just ride your own race. I think he's been pretty calm, cool, calm and collected the whole tour. So look, he just has to do it for one more day or less than 20 minutes. So I'm sure he knows exactly what he has to do.
But from a TT specialist as you, what have you said him this morning during the recon? I mean, he's not a specialist as you are.
No, he did the recon with Filippo, so I think he's got plenty of tips from him. Obviously, we just have to drop the power from what Ghana does to what Teo can do. But yeah, I think he just has to do what he has done in the middle TT. Obviously, the first one he didn't go all in. He wasn't thinking he was here for GC, so carbon copy of that middle TT, and I think it'll be all good.
You set a good time as well, maybe because you saved your legs yesterday in the last K?
Yeah, I was tapering. Still tapering for tomorrow, or stage 22 as people call it, tonight. But yeah, I'm not sure how I went when it came to the fastest. I know Ghana was probably, well, definitely is the fastest, but yeah, I just went out there and just gave it all. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There might not be too many bars open, but I think stage 22 might involve a few bidons of beer, eh, Brian Smith?
And they deserve it. And, you know, I was wondering why he kind of dropped off in the final K yesterday. I think that's why he moved up in the general classification, to give him more time to recover. But no, seriousness, what a quality performance he's put in. And also just talking about Teo as well, and just as we start to build up to, you know, the battle for pink, I just received a message from Phil Griffiths to say that, you know, Teo got winds that Phil, for personal reasons, went into hospital, and Teo texted him this morning wishing him well. And Phil, if you're listening, we wish you well as well. But that's the sort of person Teo is. We heard from Philip Gilbert earlier, we heard from Dave Brailsford saying, you know, the history, and he's so down to earth. The fact that he's trying to win a Grand Tour and finding out someone who he respected is going into hospital, and just that text message. On the flip side, you know, I have to balance this up as well with, you know, Jai Hindley. I've been doing a little bit of digging. Apparently he doesn't like cats. He's not a cat lover. He's the most laid-back person in the world. Loved all the classic Aussies, legends like Cadel Evans, Robbie McEwen. Decided pretty young he wanted to be a pro, and was totally tunnel vision for it. Never did anything else. Totally tunnel vision. Family orientated. He says his parents are his heroes. The Simpsons is his favourite TV programme, and he loves food. Well, he can eat what he wants after this, because as far as I'm concerned, two young lads, Teo Geoghegan-Hart, Jai Hindley, going head to head to win this year's Giro d'Italia. I still think it can go anywhere. That just gives you an indication of what great human beings both of these guys are.
Yeah, I guess the only failure that Teo Geoghegan-Hart has, he's an Arsenal fan, he's a Gooner. I hope he's going to be winning more than them, for his sake, in the next few years. We're into the top 10. Fausto Masnada, 9th at the moment. First Grand Tour in the Koenig Quick Step colours. Stage winner last year at the Giro d'Italia. GC man this time out. Two riders in the top 10, I think, are going to finish for the Koenig Quick Step, because they have Joao Almeida as well. Jonathan Castroviejo not troubling the scorers today. No big effort from him. Out of legs, out of gas. End of the season. Rest up and we'll see you next year. Might be a party to enjoy first, though. Time to hear from the man who's leading. Here's Filippo Ganna.
È appena uscito del suo hot seat, siamo qui con
Well, he's just come down from his hot seat.
Dobbiamo dire,
here's Filippo Ganna.
Stratosferico di nuovo. E
well, it was stratospheric today.
Tanto rischio nelle curve, no?
No, diciamo...
You didn't take that many risks on the curves, no?
Sai, quando arrivi alla 21esima giornata le gambe cominciano a far male,
first day of the
di testa,
Giro, your legs are very tired.
Però cerchi di
you don't really want to take too many risks.
Tanti rischi, non
absolutely tired. I took it a little easier.
Però alla fine siamo riusciti a ottenere un buon risultato per adesso.
I didn't take any risks about the last time trial.
Poi se dovesse arrivare qualcuno che
I wanted to have a good result, and maybe thought somebody could go better than me today, but I've gone very well.
Era un bel percorso, ma arrivare
qui sul Piazza Duomo for you, says Bernie Eisel.
È anche impressionante, no? Arrivare qui a Milano.
I think today you're going to be on the podium again.
L'anno scorso, più o meno in questa stagione, ero arrivato con la mia ragazza.
Yeah, of course, after this year it's been really hard.
Quasi già montati anche gli alberi di Natale.
Last year I was with my girlfriend watching the Giro d'Italia.
Vedere la spoglia, vedere tutta gente, vedere
gathering of people, and it felt like a brilliant atmosphere.
Speriamo che si possa risolvere tutto più presto e che torni.
Of course, it's weird, and I hope all this finishes soon and we get back to normal soon. Last question.
Informazione del percorso. Lui sa come si fa.
Se dove si trova in classifica, secondo me sono io che devo chiedere a lui qualche consiglio.
You know where he is in the GC. He didn't need any help from me yet. Just echoing there what Brad Wiggins suggested last night. Doesn't need too much chat from those out there in front. I wonder if the same's happening in Camp Jai Hindley and Sunweb as well. We are counting down. It's currently 10 to 4 local time in Milan. At 9 past 4, 9 minutes past 4, Theo Gegenhardt will start. At 12 minutes past 4 local time, Jai Hindley will start. That's in 21 minutes time. Here's Patrick Conrad, who's had a very, very good Tour of Italy. Consistent, combative, without the full GC support behind him. Absolutely brilliant. Well, the Arsenal fans aren't happy with this, Brian. I have to reveal that I'm only messing. I'm not a Tottenham fan. I come from quite a bit further north than that. Some very good Arsenal fan friends who are constantly moaning about the team. Got used to winning too much, didn't they? Ben O'Connor, I'm pretty sure he could get used to winning, couldn't he? Really, really happy for him this Giro d'Italia, because he went out in search of it, beaten on one day, winning the next day, and realising some of the potential that he showed when he was here 2 years ago. Great Giro for him. We'll next see him in the colours of AG Desert La Mondiale, the French team, in just a couple of months' time. Filippo Ganna leads the final time trial, and it's looking unlikely he's going to be beaten. None of the riders remaining are time trial specialists, and this is very much a specialist course. I know that families will now be gathering as much as they can, probably digitally via FaceTime or some other sort of video call, whether that be in Western Australia or in East London. I know that Jai Hindley will probably not have seen his family for a long, long time. Plenty of months. Same can be said for Theo Gegenhardt. 10 months since he's seen most of his family as well, because of the COVID restrictions, and a difficult time apart from young children for Ben Swift. I know he's got a young family. He has ridden one of the performances at this Giro, and he's given it a good go today, because he's in the top 20 in the general classification. It has been a brilliant, brilliant Giro from the British Road champion. And listen to that. The shark is back in the water for one final time at this Giro. We'll see him again in the peloton next year, but will we see him contesting the GC again? Never count him out. It's been a heroic performance, a battling performance, but he's been quite gracious in the way he's talked about the generational change. He knows he's up against young riders with a chance to cement their names in legend, but this is a living legend, Brian. Vincenzo Nibali.
Yeah, he's always one of these riders that will never give up trying. When he sees any weakness, he'll play with your mind, and just one of these guys that, you know, if he's your rival, you just can't rest easy at all. And for Nibali to come here, and he came here with a good team to try and help him win the Giro d'Italia, and then he was up against it. And it's just that picture after the finish, when he finished with Almeida, and he just kind of patted him on the back. It just kind of made it for me that's, you know, one of the pictures of the Giro d'Italia, a rider that has won all the Grand Tours, and then he sees these kind of young riders that he probably didn't even know or realise. Probably didn't know a lot about Almeida, but just that wee kind of pat in the back signified from, you know, a classy rider that he's been beaten, but he's got a lot of respect for these youngsters.
I'm sure he's got something left in the tank to win somewhere before he ends his career. He'll be 36 next month. If he'd have done it today, he would have become the oldest ever winner of the Giro d'Italia. Today's probably riding to try and conserve 7th place, because just 19 seconds behind him in 8th is Patrick Conrad. And to gain a place, Nibali would need to take 1 minute and 14 on Jakob Fuglsang. Here's Brandon McNulty, top time trialist with a top time trial. Great effort for the man from Arizona in the break yesterday, and I think we'll see this man again contending things and contesting GC prizes. McNulty across the line. Started the day in 15th place, just behind James Knox, who's had another very, very good Giro. But quite understandably, from our Italian directors, we are following the shark around. And he's Italy's highest place in the GC. And one sad note for the host nation is that it's going to be the first time in Giro d'Italia history that there's no Italian in the top 5. And that's quite a thing for a proud cycling nation like Italy, at home, at their event, to try and compress and try and take in. Jakob Fuglsang came into this with brilliant form. He won 2 monuments in 2 years now. One of them coming on the streets of Lombardy earlier this year. Jakob Fuglsang got better and better as the race got on. Had bad luck, but he's put in a solid performance, and he's looking to finish 6th. Should be pretty safe in that respect. And then it's another 3 minutes 15 seconds to the top 5, so I guess the 5th place for Joao Almeida is safe as well. He'll be looking to try and snatch 4th from Pello Bilbao, who sits 23 seconds in front of him. So he could have a change or two. Ah, these are the shots it's bringing us. I wonder when we're going to see a shot of it, but the drone's been doing its job. The lack of helicopter noise is rather discomforting to me. The shot looks great. So another reminder for whoever you're watching, whatever time of day or night it is, morning, noon or night, middle of the night even for some of you, certainly if you're hoping that the Maglia Rosa hangs on, get yourselves ready. We're watching Nibali here, a living legend, towards the end of his career, but it's going to be the new generation, a seismic shift in how cycling's been played out this year. We saw Pogacar at the Tour de France. This guys in their mid-20s who are going to be fighting it out. If you need to get yourselves ready, strap yourselves in. Now's the time to do so, because in 15 minutes, everybody will be on the road. Vincenzo Nibali trying to save 7th place. Not the way he would have wanted to end this Giro, but he's been graceful. Certainly for a man who can be quite spicy, known to be aggressive to the odd colleague of ours. But he's sort of earned the right to be like that. One of the men that we will always remember from this 103rd edition. 5th at the moment, looking for 4th. 15 days in the Maglia Rosa. He had Portugal dreaming, painting itself pink. João Almeida, now 15 kilometers from the end of an astounding debut Grand Tour. And the man from the Koenig Quick-Step would have to put in a super ride to jump Pello Bilbao, the Spanish champion. But it's an Iberian battle. They'll give it their all, and Almeida is on the way. Back with Pozzovivo. End of his career is approaching. We know that. Will it be this year? Will it be next year? For now, just in case, well played, Domenico Pozzovivo.
That wasn't bad. 16th place, 110 down. We consider the Ghana's, what, 30-odd seconds, 32 seconds in front of everybody else. So, finished well, Pozzovivo there.
He's finished well. Just the way he's fought his way around Italy, Brian. I mean, look at the way he's sitting on the bike with his left elbow in absolute tatters. Another Italian legend, 2-time winner of the Giro, the winner of the Vuelta, and the 2014 Tour de France champion. Vincenzo Nibali is into 10Ks to go. Just gone 4 o'clock local time. It's Bradley Wiggins' time. He's going to join us for the finale. And I know you're a big Nibali fan, Brad, like a lot of people. And this might be a bit of a changing moment for him going forward. A word, I think, about how Vincenzo Nibali's carried himself the last few days. I think he's been really classy.
What's up? So happy for you. Sorry.
Well, Brad's here, I promise. Somebody's not plugged in his microphone. We'll get that sorted and we'll get back to him. In the meantime, Brian's still with us, hope. You can just see him at the corner of my eye. Been a novel experience this year.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting grand. I think the the Tour de France as well. I think we've been spoiled, to be honest with you. And we hear from a lot of the riders that ride in races that they'd probably not be riding if it was a normal race calendar. We're seeing some great performances from some of the young riders. Almeida, absolute class, never giving up. Even yesterday, trying to move up in the general classification. Great to see. I think the Koenig Quick-Step tried to win the stage yesterday, tried to move this rider up in the general classification. He can still move up. He's 23 seconds behind Pello Bilbao, but I still think that'll be hard because Pello Bilbao will want to finish in 4th place. So we do have a little bit of a battle.
Next up and in 4th, 3 minutes chasing João Almeida, is Pello Bilbao. 2:51 from the Maglia Rosa. Realistically, a little bit far from the podium as well, we think. Wilco Kelderman is at 1:32 from the Maglia Rosa, so that means, what is it, 1 minute 19 seconds between Bilbao and Kelderman being in his preferred discipline. Probably not going to give that away. Here's Patrick Conrad trying to fight for that 7th place from Nibali. So 58 seconds down. Less than 20 seconds between those two. So in East London, I know that Theo Gegen's half brother Bede is watching on and excited. In fact, he's in Salisbury. He's with his girlfriend Lunas on her birthday. Theo Gegenhardt's father Tom is nervous and might be having a drink or two, I'm told, today. They'll be cracking out the champagne if he can take that Maglia Rosa. Likewise, down under in Australia, they'll be up at all hours. Jai Hindley in the pink for now. And Vincenzo Nibali on the road. Brad Wiggins is with us. And Brad, Vincenzo, it's been a classy performance without touching the heights of previous years.
You know, Vincenzo's kind of mellowing a lot in, you know, he's a very kind of protective rider. He kind of feeds off his ego, and I don't mean ego in a derogatory sense at all. He's been a class act over the years. He's a real competitor, and you almost get a sense he's preparing that, you know, his best years are over, and just in the things he says, he's starting to praise other riders a lot, and yeah, he's going out in a class way. He's been a fantastic rider in the sport. It was a privilege to race against him, and I asked him for a photo last year at the Tour de France, and he was quite taken back by it. But you know, when I look back now and all these guys retiring from my generation, it's to be able to say to my son, who's now fanatical about cycling, that I raced with the likes of Vincenzo and Sagan and that, you realise how much of a privilege it is.
Well, there is Vincenzo Nibali with 5.8 kilometres to go. He's approaching the time check, so we'll see where he is in relation to Patrick Conrad. And in the meantime now, we head to our podium. Horrible 24 hours for Wilco Kelderman. Losing the Maglia Rosa, losing all opportunity to really fight for it. 1:32 down. Gents, there's no chance of this guy getting back into it, is there?
I kind of, yeah, I mean, it almost, we were talking yesterday, Brian, weren't we, on the breakaway, that there was a sense of kind of, he knew what was coming, and I think that's the way he was riding for a podium, and he secured that because he limited his losses from the Stelvio onwards, really, and realised if he went with Jai and Theo that he would probably risk dropping right down the order in the GC. And from that point on, I think he rode for third place. Do you think that's fair to say, Brian?
You know, definitely. I think spot on there. I think the first time over the Stelvio, he really suffered. Masnada just coming up there, just finishing 27th place, 131 down, but I think he really suffered it. He put it all in. He put it all in the line to try and come back and, you know, limit losses. He did bring it around on the final climb, but yesterday was all about securing a podium for Wilco Kelderman, and I think he managed to do that, and I think he will finish on the podium.
Well, Wilco Kelderman is on the way. He would have been hoping to ride to try and bring Pink back, just as Tom Dumoulin had done for that team 3 years ago. A tough ask. Today he's just hoping to conserve third. We're counting down the minutes. We've already said that Gegenhardt's family is watching in southeast England. Brother down in Salisbury. Rest of the family at home in London. Down in Australia as well. Jai Hindley, who said his parents are his heroes, will have everybody up in the middle of the night all across Australia. Watched the Tour de France on TV when he was 6 years old, and he said understood straight away that he knew what he wanted to do. His heroes, the likes of McEwen, O'Grady, Evans. First we will see Gegenhardt. 3 minutes later, it will be Hindley. The white jersey, the pink jersey, both on the same time. Vincenzo Nibali, a two-time winner of the Giro d'Italia, is approaching home and approaching the end of an arduous battle. It's Sunday afternoon in Europe, evening for you watching in Australia. Whatever time of day it is elsewhere, whatever you are doing, wherever you're watching, however emotionally invested you might be, remember this moment. Remember it well. In almost 120 years of Grand Tour racing, we have never gone into a final stage as close. This is as exciting and unpredictable as it gets. Italy loves a good opera, a right bit of drama, and on stage 21 of this 103rd Giro d'Italia, Jai Hindley and now Theo Geoghegan-Hart are only separated by a fraction of a second. Never before have we started the final stage with them on the same time. Geoghegan-Hart in the white, on the way. Brad Wiggins, can he do it?
Of course he can. You know, we all want him to do it, and you know, it's a horrible thing now for Jai sitting there. He's the last rider off, and he's just watched his biggest adversary go off. I've got 3 minutes to sit there, and you want to get going yourself. You want to get out there now and get this thing done. I said a few times, there's a tendency between these guys to play the big sportsman before punch fist when you come into that pen, because you're sitting there 5-6 minutes before. I used to use that as a way of, you know, psyching out your opponents. I remember getting up before the Dauphiné time trial once, and I said to Cadell when he watched me go, don't get that jersey too sweaty, and left him with that thought for that 3 minutes. And I sort of tried to get Theo to do that. But, you know, we are a great sport, a lot of sportsmanship, but that comes after there. There's nothing to separate these two in physical, you know, everything like that. But the mental side of it now comes into it, and, you know, it's not a crime to try and psych your opponent out.
7-2 in time trials as professionals. In the under-23s, they took each other on in the Tour de l'Avenir, and it was Theo Geoghegan-Hart who did it. Geoghegan-Hart has more often beat his opponent here than anyone else. And here's a former teammate who's had a really good Giro d'Italia, the 22-year-old Joao Almeida, hoping to try and move up to 4th place. Bilbao is there at the moment, the Spanish champion. 3rd, of course, we have Wilco Kelderman. 2nd, but level on time with the Maglia Rosa, is Theo Geoghegan-Hart. And we're about to go for the Maglia Rosa start in just a moment's time. Jai Hindley is 24 from Perth in Western Australia, a teammate of this man Wilco Kelderman, and he can make history as the first ever Australian to win the most beautiful race in the world. Geoghegan-Hart is on his way. He's in the right. He is 3 minutes up the road. It's time to put our focus back to the start, because after a long time on the road, 3 weeks there, they are about to go for it. Geoghegan-Hart has settled in. We'll get the gents' opinions on how both of them have settled in a moment. But for now, we go to the time check, and then we will go to the Maglia Rosa start. This is Joao Almeida. This is a really good ride from him. He's better than Miles Scotson. After 85 hours, 22 minutes, 7 seconds, Jai rules, but for now. 3,345 kilometers since Palermo in Sicily. They've ridden all the way up Italy, over its mighty mountain ranges, and confronted that autumn weather at extreme altitudes. And the 100th of a second separating the Maglia Rosa from his closest challenger. This is Theo Geoghegan-Hart, gentlemen, in Bath. How are you looking at how he's getting on?
I mean, they both actually look a class act. They've both got great setups, skin suits, everything like that. Theo's got a sun visor on his helmet, so you can't really see his eyes, because you can see a lot, whereas Jai had that clear visor, and you could see the concentration and the nerves and with what's about to come, the focus more than anything. But I was going to ask Brian, actually, aside from you, Rob, do you think this, as unprecedented as it is, I think half the reason for that is because we didn't see the likes of, we're watching now on the screen, Vincenzo Nibali, Simon Yates, Geraint Thomas, the names we expected to be up here in this position. And because they're not here for whatever reason, these two guys have been given their chance. And will we ever see these guys go head-to-head in a Grand Tour like this, or do you think this is, will they get the opportunity again? Because obviously Geoghegan-Hart with Adam Yates coming to Ineos, etc., etc., is this their one opportunity?
Well, I hope not. And that's, I think, a dilemma for the teams that, you know, they're now looking at. We're seeing so many young talents coming through, and it's going to get every team's, you know, looking to get like Deconi Quickstep, because they have to, you know, juggle everybody's ambitions. And I think this this battle between Theo Gegenhardt and Jai Hindley could have been thrown at is because Geraint Thomas has crashed out and Kelderman hasn't really stepped up. But like you say, Brad, they're both fairly equal, right? And I don't care what anybody says at the minute,
0.00 seconds.
And I don't care what anybody says about what's happened in the past, because they've not all gone 100% in the time trials that they've ridden. This is coming down to who's got anything left in the legs, and as Bradley says, it comes down to the mind games. Who is both of them are super motivated, but who can suffer that bit longer?
I just noticed there with both of them there, Theo came off the handlebars going into that roundabout. Now, I don't think they'd have ridden the course this morning, because I don't think the roads would have been shut in Milan, or they may have done most of the time, because Theo's off quite late. The race would have started before he got breakfast, etc., etc. The likelihood is, because he was last, if you don't get time to ride that course in the morning, and I think he probably went round behind some of the early starters in the team car, because the way he went through that roundabout, it was probably best to go through it on the skis. And he probably did ride the course in the morning, but not enough times really, which you don't get to do in the Grand Tour. Jai came through that roundabout, almost had to come off, then went out the saddle. So they're both very similar. It's very difficult in the Grand Tour, especially with a town centre. When you recon before it, early in the year or whatever, you don't get to see the roundabouts and how the race line is set. Everyone has that problem, but it's just extra stuff they have to contend with, and it's who handles it best.
With Theo Bilbao going through that time check as we go back to the finish for Jakob Fuglsang. No big changes in the GC yet, by the way, coming to the end. This is Fuglsang. It's a decent enough time trial from him. There wasn't too much of a scope for him to move up or down today. 1:28 down on the time set by Filippo Ganna. I think the big headline from the top 5 so far has been Joao Almeida. We're watching the Maglia Rosa now, the last man on the road, Jai Hindley, all the way from the Midlands Cycling Club in West Australia to the Maglia Rosa. And here he is. It's when we get to that time check with 5Ks to go that we're really going to see the possibilities open up.
We're just talking about the checkpoint, and Joao Almeida went through there in 5th place at 24 seconds, and Theo Bilbao, the Spanish champion, has gone through there at 54 seconds. So it does look as if Almeida is moving up ahead of Bilbao in the general classification. So we've got a change from 4th to 5th for Almeida.
Back with Theo Gegenhardt now. Yesterday again he was the eagle of East London in the mountains. How's he looking here? What's an update, Brad?
Well, you see there that Theo went through that roundabout on his time trial bars, and he clearly had the confidence to do that. So the director behind in the team car, probably Tasato, will be saying roundabout coming up in 200 metres. Remember, on the skis for this one. So he's got the confidence. That's the information we're getting behind. And Jai just went through the same roundabout that Theo went through before that I spoke about, and he also came off. So they're the little bits where if you stay in that position for long enough, but it's having the confidence, because you wouldn't take a roundabout like that at the speeds these guys are approaching it at. But that's where the director behind comes in. That's how they help on this, get a calmness, you know, giving that information. Roundabout coming up 200 metres on the skis, this one.
And what a Giro d'Italia it's been for this man. He was so close to the top times. And it's going to be right up there on the stage. Joao Almeida fighting until the very last day. He looked like he was about to disappear and fall off on the Stelvio. He's back and he's moving up to 4th place, we think, on GC. It's 4th in the time trial. Joao Almeida, we salute you. And gentlemen, it's been quite a Tour of Italy for him. What a discovery.
Yeah, I mean, it's all we spoke about, wasn't it, for 2.5 weeks, could he? And, you know, hats off to him. What a fantastic first Grand Tour for this man. He's been, the way he's conducted himself, he's been every bit the professional the whole way through.
Yeah, it just came down to one mountain, didn't it? It was the Stelvio for him, and yeah, look, it's not the last we've heard of Almeida. We'll see him again. And we talked to Philip Gilbert about Evenepoel. Well, that's another dilemma they're going to have. Almeida, Evenepoel, we're starting to see teams next year will have to decide who they go for. Jai Hindley came in to help Wilco Kelderman, and you know, look what we're seeing now. It's absolutely magnificent.
We're about to witness the conclusion of a wonderful story. 3 weeks ago, they had very different protagonists, didn't they? Talked about the Thomas, Yates, all the other favourites. We've seen Nibali come across the line as Geoghegan Hart is 9 seconds up to Jai Hindley in the first time check we get. Make that 10. And our first headline here is that unless Hindley can turn it around, Teo Geoghegan Hart is going to win the Giro d'Italia. He's halfway through his time trial.
Yeah, can you look at the gear Teo's pushing on here compared to the cadence of Jai Hindley. You can also see the gear, the way he's pushing. It's almost like a leg press machine in the gym, because just every 10 or 15 pedal revs, Teo pushes himself back in the saddle, because he's almost slipping forward on the saddle in putting that pressure down on a big gear. That's what you end up sliding forward, because like a leg press machine for anyone who goes to the gym, the amount of force he's put, he's almost standing on the pedals, and he would just push himself back in the saddle every night. There you see there, and that kind of torque production that he's doing now is either a discomfort from days of cadence in the mountains, but it shows he's got the power, and Jai's got that cadence going, but it's not necessarily the most efficient way of riding a time trial, but it's very different to what they've been doing the last few days.
Well, he said he had the strongest time trial on paper throughout the few results we've had to compare. And in the first few kilometres, Teo Geoghegan Hart has now pulled out 11 seconds. Let's get another check. It's 12. He's gaining with every pedal stroke he makes. Jai Hindley's not pulling out a bad time trial here, but he is losing seconds, and it's not looking good for the Australian, you have to say.
No, but like I said, now look at Jai's cadence here, and in that production, he's not having to push himself back as much as Teo on that saddle. But it's not the most efficient way of riding a time trial. It's about force production and almost low torque, that low cadence which Teo's in. Just look at the gear as he accelerates. Almost from the front, you don't get an idea of how fast he's going, but it's almost like driving a car in 5th gear as opposed to driving up the motorway in 2nd. It's the most efficient way.
Well, we're getting a proper time check now, and he's 36 down on his teammate Filippo Ganna's time. And what's the reaction from the hot seat? He's still nervous. He's still nervous.
He don't give a monkeys.
Now then, Pio Bilbao has entertained us at the Tour de France. He rode for Mikel Landa. He's come here straight after that to ride the Giro d'Italia. Tour followed by Giro. What a double, and what a ride from Pio Bilbao. Probably going to drop down to 5th, but I tell you what, 5th on GC after riding 3 weeks as a domestique at that full gas tour. That is a great effort, Brian Smith.
Fantastic effort, and good to see Bilbao up there, and I think that will be his best GC performance in a Grand Tour. And you know, he came here, as you said, after the Tour de France, and day by day. But I tell you what, going through the time check, Kelderman wasn't setting it alight as well. We went through there in 10th place, 32 seconds down. So yeah, there's a lot of tired bodies out there, but all these riders in the top 10 want to try and keep their position and don't want to slip down. But it does look as if Almeida has moved up in the general classification up to 4th.
Well, Geoghegan Hart has been continuing to pull time out here, and he's into the final 4.5 Ks, Brad.
It must be quite hard for Kelderman, though, when you imagine he was the team leader coming into this race. He's had Jai working for him in the mountains. Jai's now in a pink jersey last night. You can imagine at the dinner table, all the team would have been, you know, focus would have gone to him. And Kelderman, there could be an element of being a bit demoralised, because he's been dropped by his Super Domestique.
There's only 4 seconds between that time check between Kelderman and Teo Geoghegan Hart, just to put it into perspective a little bit. So Teo Geoghegan Hart went through 36 seconds down, and Kelderman at 32. So we're just waiting for the time check coming up for Jai Hindley now.
Well, the last estimates we're getting are pretty much in favour of Teo Geoghegan Hart. So much so that if he continues to pull this time out by the time he gets to the line, we think we'd be able to declare him as the winner of the Giro. We will, as Brian says, get the check at the proper time check, but this is looking really, really good for the man who was a Dave Rain funded rider. He then went to the Axion team as an under-23, decided to stay there because he thought that he should be getting more experience before turning onto the World Tour. He has done a brilliant job, and the team are about to get their reward, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is very specific time trial, this, because it's flat, not many corners. There's not many places where you can gain time or have to focus on. It's just a concentrated effort. It's a bit like riding the turbo trainer, flat out for 17 minutes. Teo's got 2 or 3 minutes left of this Giro d'Italia. It's not going to be a big gap. We're talking 10 seconds, 8 seconds in it at the finish. It's just been who could concentrate the most and ridden it the most efficient way. At the moment, it's looking good for Teo, but we never know. Let's see. Let's hope he gets around safely.
This is Wilco Kelderman, 11th on the day, 54.5 seconds down, but the latest update from Geoghegan Hart versus Hindley is over 20 seconds. And here is the proof. Jai Hindley is riding his heart out. Jai Hindley is trying to do his best for all of you staying up so late in Australia, but Jai Hindley, I don't think he's going to do it. Teo Geoghegan Hart is riding himself into the pink jersey. Hindley's only going to have it on his back for 18 minutes. Brian.
22 seconds at the official time check in the favour of Teo Geoghegan Hart. 22 seconds.
Come on, Teo.
So from Fignon to Le Mans on the last day, Sevilla to Casero, Eras to Gonzalez, Rodriguez to Hagedal, Quintana to Dumoulin. I think we're going to see Hindley to Geoghegan Hart, and we are going to see a Londoner win the Giro d'Italia, and what a story it's going to be. This is the latest check. It's up to 24 now, and Geoghegan Hart is just over 1.5 kilometres from the line. Remember, when Team Sky was formed back in 2010, he was there riding behind the likes of you, Brad. He was there behind everybody else. He was a fan. He idolised you before you went on to win the Tour de France. He followed the team's fortunes. He worked in a bike shop at the weekends. And Teo Geoghegan Hart, I think, is about to realise a dream, realise potential. He is 1 kilometre of full gas effort away from winning the Giro.
He's one of us. He's a fan. He's one of millions of people around the world that watch this sport and love it, that fall in love with it. He knows what he's about to achieve. The hardest thing for him has been putting that to one side, the magnitude of what he's about to achieve. And you don't get many people like that in sport. People that normally do well in sport are so detached from what it means that that's why they can do it, because it's so good. The beauty with this is he knows what he's about to do, and he will make the most of it for the best. You know, he'll be back in East London this winter talking to kids and cycle clubs. He's one of us. He's a fan, and it's quite emotional watching. It's so I can't. Yeah, lost for words now.
So from Saturday jobs in London bike shops to riding with local clubs and behind Team Sky at the team launch, from being a Dave Raider funded rider to riding for the best under 23 team in the world with Axel Merckx in charge, from a solid start learning the ropes as a World Tour pro to getting that maiden pro victory in Italy last year, from starting this race as a worker for Geraint Thomas, Tour winner and anointed leader here, to a first Grand Tour stage win, from the Hackney Marshes to the Italian Alps and now the streets of Milan. Teo Geoghegan Hart is going to win the Giro d'Italia. Teo Geoghegan Hart is going to win a Grand Tour. It's the realisation of a dream. It's going to be 7th heaven with the stage wins for the Ineos Grenadiers, and the most unlikely of comeback stories has come true.
Teo, we all love you. Come on, we've just got to wait. But you know, let's not forget what a rider Jai Hindley. You know, he's been. Sport is about rivalry, and without this man here and the class he's been the last few days, we wouldn't have had the excitement we've been given, and he's a big part of that. So, congratulations and chapeau to this man as well.
Yeah, it must be difficult for Jai Hindley, you know, to come into this race still with the leader. The questions over the Stelvio, wait or not wait, yesterday, it must have been very difficult. All Teo had to do was concentrate on what he had to do himself. He didn't have another leader to contend with, you know, to sit with it in the bus. You know, it was all about Teo. You can see the emotion. You know, I can actually see, although he's not in the same box, I can see the emotion in Bradley Wiggins here. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic day for both Australian and British cycling. But for this man, seeing him grow up, as a fan, still a fan, still texting people in hospital this morning. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant spectacle today.
Well, back home, the EastEnders are watching. They will be getting ready to celebrate because Jai Hindley has to do something special in 1 minute and 20 seconds. And despite him being one of the riders, the revelations of this season, in 1.5 Ks, he's not going to get over the line in time. Whatever happens today, make sure all of you in Western Australia make some noise about this guy, because I opened the newspapers this morning, the West Australian, and there was not one single article on him. It was all about the AFL Grand Final last night. He has been incredible, but it's going to be 18 minutes in the Maglia Rosa, and over to the man on the left.
Yeah, but you know what, Jai Hindley, with the exit of Richie Port and the emotion he displayed for getting his reward of the years of being a Grand Tour contender, I think we're going to be speaking a lot about this man the next 10 years now, and he's Australia's next big Grand Tour contender. He's been a class act this week.
Well, his father ran a cycling club. He knew what he wanted to do. He wasn't great at school because he was so obsessed with his biking. He got through, came to Europe very young, stayed in Pescara. He was recommended to a local team by Shane Bannon, rode for the Aran Cucine team. They were so impressed with him, not just on the bike, but his culinary skills as well. And Jai Hindley, riding in the Maglia Rosa, is about to finish on the podium at a Grand Tour when he expected to ride. He expected to ride for Wilco Kelderman. They know they've done it. Celebrations can begin. The odds were stacked against Jai Hindley, and it isn't going to happen for the Maglia Rosa. He's come all the way from Australia. He's so far from home. It has been a heroic ride for Team Sunweb and for Jai Hindley. Level on points, level on time. Nothing could separate them. Jai Hindley comes to the line in the Maglia Rosa, but he will not be wearing it on the podium. A second place finish at the Giro d'Italia for the 24-year-old from Western Australia. And Theo Geoghegan-Hart, the 25-year-old from London, at his 4th Grand Tour, is going to win it. Theo Geoghegan-Hart has won the Giro d'Italia. He's only the 2nd British rider to do so. And Jai Hindley has pulled off Australia's best ever finish. 39 seconds, the margin of victory. Theo Geoghegan-Hart has cemented his name in legend. Never ever had it been so close. It finishes though with Theo Geoghegan-Hart, the helper becoming the hero. But heartbreak for Jai Hindley and Team Sunweb.
Fucking beauty! Yes! Yes! Fucking beauty!
Look what it means to them. And the celebrations will be the same at home. I know that family is watching on. Theo hasn't seen his family for 10 months. Jai Hindley perhaps even longer, given the travel he would have had to make. His partner Hannah will be looking on. I know his brother Bede was watching. Parents as well. They said they were having a drink or two. There'll be a few more flowing later tonight. Gentlemen, reactions?
Yeah, I mean, it's just watching it there. I mean, the amount of people, because Theo's so well known within the London community, the cycling community. I mean, this guy here, that's Richard. He's used to work for Chapter 3 and helped Dave Miller design that kit. The amount of people that messaged me that have sort of said, did you see Theo today? The knock-on effect, the domino effect of people that just love Theo and know that he deserves this more than anything. It's because of like what Gilbert was saying earlier, what happened there when they met. He's just a nice, lovely guy. He's never once said he was going to do this. He's never sort of said at the start of the year, I want to win the Tour de France. But he just wanted to be a professional cyclist and emulate his heroes and be in Team Sky. There was no other team for him. It was just, that was enough for him at that point. I don't think he'll realise, he does realise what he's done, but in some ways he'll think that he's not worthy of it and doesn't really deserve it.
You'll remember this photo though.
There we go, Dave. We haven't seen him for 6 months.
Dave Brailsford at the centre, Filippo Ganna with another stage win, but it's all about Theo Geoghegan-Hart. And as the Madonnina looks down from the top of the Milan Cathedral. She's seen a few Maglie Rose. The latest and one of the most astonishing stories is the victory of Theo Gegenhardt. He sat 126th in the time trial after the opening stage in Palermo. And there is just one of the rewards. That's his partner Hannah, also pro cyclist and British champion, superstar in her own right. And now he's got a palmarès to match hers.
Yeah, and you know, this is as much for her as well. They're a lovely couple. They support each other because they're both cyclists. They both understand the pressures and the ups and downs that involves being a professional cyclist, and he's supportive of her, she's supportive of him. They ride each other's wave of ups and downs through the year. Don't forget, early in the year, I remember speaking to Theo during lockdown. He was quite down because, you know, they were trained on turbo trains. They live in Andorra, and Andorra was completely locked. They weren't allowed out on the bike. And you think there's 6 months on, obviously she knows what they've both been through as a couple to get here, and she won't quite know. Like you saw there, she's just happy for him, and you know, it's just, he won't change from this, Theo. You know, he's not, I mean, this will do him. You know, he'll retire happy now if he wanted to. That's my worry, is I hope he kicks on from this and gets the opportunity to do that in the Tour de France, and we can talk about him for the next 10 years. He's happy to be submissive, and he'll be ride for Geraint Thomas next year, and Adam Yates and these guys, and Egan Bernal. And he's just a worthy champion, and everything this country needs as a role model of sportsman, much like Geraint Thomas and Chris Froome. But Chris Froome is obviously moving on now and will eventually drift out of the sport. Geraint Thomas is a superstar already, but this guy's young, and of course he's now... Let's think when Simon Yates won the Vuelta a few years ago, and there was no impact, was there, back in the UK? And I just hope Theo gets his reward, not in a celebrity fame sense, but what his standing within this sport as a sportsman.
Theo Gegenhardt wins the Giro d'Italia. He is the 5th different Grand Tour winner for the Ineos Grenadiers in the last decade. He's beaten Jai Hindley by 39 seconds. Wilco Kelderman will complete the podium. And what a ride it was for the man who started the day in the white jersey. By the way, he will take both pink and white. 2 stage wins as well. It has been quite the 3 weeks. Quite the unexpected 3 weeks, I think we have to say as well. Everybody's played their part. We saw Rowan Dennis twice in the mountains. We've seen them in the car, Cookson, Tosato, Cioni, and I guess as well, all for the memory of the late Nico Portal, who I know was very important to Theo Gegenhardt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wow. And what a contrast to the Ineos team at the Tour de France we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible really for them all. And what a season it's been. 6 months now, we didn't know if we were going to have bike racing. And the last 2 Grand Tours, we've had 2 young winners that we didn't expect in both come down to the time trial. We sat here 5 weeks ago, didn't we, Rob? We talked about Pogacar, that time trial, trying to contain ourselves, and we've got it again.
Filippo, what is your biggest emotion now? To be the winner of this time trial, or to be the teammate of the winner of the Giro d'Italia?
For sure for Tao, because work together for 21 days is hard, but when arrive this big result, is fantastic.
When you did the course, did you think it was a good one for him to win?
Yeah, obviously. Every race is different. Every day is strange. But when I see today morning Tao with his smile in the face, when I think, yeah, we can arrive at this number 70 victory in the Giro, and we can arrive with the pink jersey tonight.
It's been 25 years since someone won 3 time trials in the Giro d'Italia. Is that what you are the proudest of, or the rest of what you have done in the Giro d'Italia, like winning another stage, being a teammate?
We see for the next year, for the future, for something for all. But at the moment, I think to celebrate tonight with Tao, because it's very, very nice.
Very well done. Grazie.
7 stage wins and the general classification. That was unimaginable, Brian, absolutely unimaginable when we started climbing Mount Etna?
It's just been incredible, absolutely incredible. You know, we were here to see Fuglsang, Nibali, you know, kind of battle it out. That was, you know, they were the favourites. Geraint Thomas as well. Fantastic form coming into this in Tirreno, and you know, we were really talking about those three riders, who was going to win. And I think the same happened in the Tour de France. We're starting to see, you know, these young guns coming through, and it's been brilliant. You know, without Jai doing what he did, we wouldn't have seen this battle. We wouldn't have had this drama on the final day. It's been a magnificent race.
Great Vigorelli Velodrome down there in the shot. So much history in Milan. And Brad, I know you love this race. I know you're a great connoisseur of the history here. The Giro d'Italia, possibly the most popular of the races to win for the fans as well. And for someone like Teo, even more important to win something like this.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I've obviously got a collection of jersey. Did some stuff this morning with I've got Felice Gimondi's jersey from '76 with me.
I'm going to stop you. Sorry, is the winner. What was your emotion when you were confirmed as the winner of the Giro d'Italia?
Bizarre, to be honest. Yeah, not in my wildest dreams did I imagine that this would be possible when we started almost a month ago in Sicily. I think all of my career I've dreamt of trying to be top 5 or top 10 maybe in a race of this stature. So this is something completely and utterly different to that, and I think this is going to take a long time to sink in.
On the course, were you aware that you were ahead of Jai Hindley?
Kind of. My DS Tosso said I was 10 seconds up, and then he kept giving me a few seconds. I only really knew that we must be in a pretty good situation when he was screaming not to take any risks in the last kilometre. So not often that your DS tells you to slow down that much in a 15k TT, but I also knew the work was done up to that point. So yeah, incredible to arrive here in the Duomo in the centre of Milan.
Remember, you came as a teammate for Geraint Thomas. Is this only the start of a very, very big career?
I don't know, and I don't really care. I'm just going to enjoy this. It's incredible. Yeah, it's really, really incredible, and I'm going to stay the same person. I'm going to stay as professional as I believe I always have been, and dedicated, and wake up every day looking forward to riding my bike and loving my life, and being grateful for the honour and the amazing position, the privilege that I'm in to be in this position on this team and at these beautiful races.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, words I think that we'll hear repeated and repeated and repeated, and it's exactly as you called it, Brad. He's a boy that I think wants to get his personality across and do it in a very nice way. So Teo Gegenhardt is a Grand Tour winner. Let's go and hear from Bernie Eisel for his reaction straight away.
Teo Gegenhardt did it. He just won the Giro d'Italia. An amazing performance by him, and you could see the pressure, the relief when he crossed the line. Nobody would have expected it when they started the Giro. They all came in for Geraint Thomas to ride for him. He lost 2 minutes in the first time trial because he was only here to support Geraint Thomas. And later on, he took a chance, he got his stage win, and from there, it's just like a journey started. It just, I wouldn't say it was a great fight, because Jai Hindley and him, when they crossed the line the last days, they were like mates. They were like, there was no rivalry. They were like hanging out together. And I think Jai Hindley wasn't, let's say, he was disappointed. But I think they went over the line here, came to the podium and just started shaking hands, hugging each other. So it's amazing. But we also have Dave B here now. Would you have a second?
Taught him everything. How old was Teo when he came to the team with you?
He was a child. It was
Tell him the story about your shoes.
Okay, we have to. Yeah, it's like he literally had to. He put me to bed and took my shoes off. So it was like, yeah, it was
I remember.
It was a good day. But honestly, would he have expected him to be so strong and win the Giro this year, especially?
Well, I think when we started out, we came with, Geraint was the leader, really. And when you think about it, I think what happened here is that, Filippo set the scene, coming here with a band, rainbow bands, first day, got the TT sorted, got a pink jersey, then a massive disappointment, Geraint going home. And then I think when Filippo won that road stage in the hills, everybody was like, wow, that is an incredible performance. And it inspired everybody. We said, you know what, guys, let's just open the race up. Everybody race for stages, give everybody an opportunity. You just follow, stay on GC. Anybody who doesn't make the break helps support him. And I think he liked that. He grew into the role. It was like I don't know. There was no pressure on him. It was an adventure in every day, and he was getting better and better. But there was a moment. To be fair to him, I think Rowan Dennis has got to have a mention in this because he was unbelievable here. However, I would say for Teo, there was a moment in this race when he switched from being maybe. You could see a little switch going off in his head, and he said, "I can do this." And that's like, he's a geezer, isn't he? At the end of the day, him and Bradley Wiggins, fair play to them. You know what I mean? London's got something about it.
That is for sure. And I mean, Bradley also mentioned him yesterday, and he also left a voice note, like a open letter. He's like, I mean, he praises him, and like all of us, because he's the most down-to-earth guy. And
the story I like about Teo, of course, is that the fact that he bunked off school, and started a team. He bunked off school to come and ride behind all the other guys. And then, with his dream of being, a pro bike rider, coming into the team, and he's gone and won a Grand Tour. It's the stuff of comic books, really.
And he will inspire many more now to do the same.
Yeah, and what I liked about this is, we've done the train, we've done the defensive kind of style of riding, won a lot doing that, but it's not much fun, really, compared to this, is it? And I think what the guys have done here, the 2 Giros we won, through me stage 19, and the way that all the team here have raced. And, at the end of the day, sport's about racing. It's about the emotion and the exhilarating moments of racing. And that's where we want to be, we're the Grenadiers now. And, I think a lot of people, I'd say, a lot of people have contributed to this victory. And, of course, can't think about this without thinking about Nico. And I think for Teo, he's had a lot of support along the way. And, certain people, everybody in this team has supported him along the way, and they deserve a lot of credit for that.
And it's great to see you yourself enjoying it, really being here and enjoying
I'm loving it. I love Jim Ratcliffe. I mean, he deserves a huge amount of credit too. He's taken this on. He's just a pretty inspirational character, really. And what I like about him, he himself is an adventurer, and he's a racer. He's that kind of person, And he's just like, hold on a second. Well, this is about style. This is about how you do it and what you do. It's not just about, parking a bus as such. And he gives you the freedom, the confidence just to go, you know what, guys, balls out, let's go and have a go. And I love that. That's why we started racing in the first place when we were kids. And I just feel that that's where we're going to go. That's where we're going to be. We're the Grenadiers now. It's a whole new, different story.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, mate. I'll see you later.
That's it. Also from my side, we're going to get the interviews now, and also some images from Teo's girlfriend is here, and also what he thinks about his first Grand Tour victory.
A moment never to forget. Teo Geoghegan with his partner Hannah Barnes. Friends and family around. What a moment. 7th heaven with 7 stage wins. Ineos Grenadiers with, statistically, in 11 years of racing, their best ever Grand Tour. A third of the stages in the GC, plus the white jersey. Teo Geoghegan is about to lift the never-ending trophy as the winner of the 103rd Giro d'Italia. Top Ganna for the 4th time. This would be an incredible story in its own. And no wonder Dave Brailsford seemed extremely happy there. I don't think I've ever seen him like that before. Filippo Ganna with these new podium presentations in the rainbow jersey, picking up the stage win.
Sul Giro d'Italia 2020, sulla 103esima edizione.
Oh, he's back to spray the champagne. I should say the Prosecco, sorry. Since we've been there the last week or so. He won't forget this for very different reasons as well. Grand Tour debut, part of a Grand Tour winning team, 4 stages. They're not all this easy, Filippo, I'm sure. And in the final time trial, he won by 32 seconds from Victor Capanarts, the world hour record holder, and Rowan Dennis at 32, his teammate with Joao Almeida, the best of the GC guys, and the only one really in the top 10. Jai Hindley there, backstage. He's going to be back though for the team presentation as well, is Filippo Ganna, because that's one other little accolade I forgot to mention, Brian. Ineos Grenadiers also winner the team classification. They really have cleaned up, haven't they?
It's been amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, I was hoping to actually see Geraint Thomas, you know, there with the team, because I think he inspired a lot. Although he left after crashing out, he inspired a lot, and yeah, I think we may hear a bit of dedication, because when they race together and train together, then you know this is what we're seeing now. And as we heard from Dave Brailsford there, let's hope it continues that way. But yeah, I think Geraint will be proud, because they were in their bubble. He was part of it all the way through Tirreno Adriatico, training together, inspired by him, and you know, lovely to see Theo Gegenhardt step up, and you could see that in the last few days he was starting to believe more and more.
Well, this is another presentation from the extra sponsors of the stage for the stage win. New timekeepers this year at the Giro d'Italia. It's the first year of their contract, and they've sponsored all the time trial stages. So we've seen the stage win awarded, but of course there's another first for Theo Gegenhardt, first British-born rider to win the Giro d'Italia. Of course, Chris Froome is the first Brit to win, of course born in Kenya, and we are getting ready for the overall podium. 2 Sunweb riders on it, but not winning the GC. One of whom's leaving the team. There will be the whys, what fors, and whatever happens investigated, I'm sure, and there'll be inquests as we look out to Linate Airport. Not sure there's much incoming or outgoing there. Very, very foggy day in Milan. But I don't think the Ineos Grenadiers will be rushing off anywhere. Stage 22, the party, wherever it can be held in these strange times, I'm sure will be. And the other record for Theo Gegenhardt is that over the course of the 102 years of the Giro d'Italia, aside from an administrational change on the Contador Clembuterol affair, passing the jersey to Scarponi after the podium event, no rider's ever won the race without pulling on the pink jersey until the last pedal stroke had been made. And in that sense, a Gegenhardt victory is historic. Wilco Kelderman will be thinking what might have been after yesterday.
Secondo classificato, un corridore australiano del team Sunweb, Jai Hindley.
Second place, Jai Hindley. Well, his father ran a cycling club. He came to Europe young. He made Italy his home. Now lives over in northeast Spain. Great performance from him today. Second place. because on the final day, without ever wearing the maglia rosa on the road, Tao Geoghegan Hart is going to be the 5th Grand Tour winner in a decade for the Ineos Grenadiers. 2 years ago, Chris Froome turned it around in dramatic style. This year, it's gone down to the wire. And the closest Grand Tour final day ever has ended with Tao Geoghegan Hart opening a 39-second advantage and winning the Giro d'Italia. Geoghegan Hart atop the podium. Tao Geoghegan Hart and the British national anthem as the Ineos Grenadiers are winners of the Giro d'Italia. Again, a thought for Jai Hindley and all of you who've stayed up to watch. I'm pretty sure we will see him yet again, maybe with more freedom next time, to really attack it on his terrain in the mountains. The odds were stacked against him. On paper, Geoghegan Hart the favourite. Can't have been a great atmosphere for Sunweb last night as well, with Kelderman losing the jersey. A strange old time. But what a finish to a crazy year we've had. And he wants the photos. It's as we were at the Tour de France. One for the mantelpiece. Tao Geoghegan Hart realising a dream.
Diritto per i primi 3 classificati di questo podio in uno scenario veramente d'eccezione per Tao Geoghegan Hart, per Jai Hindley e per Wilco Kelderman.
And they're just realising what they've done.
Ringraziamo Michele Crisostomo, presidente di Enel Group, e Paolo Bellino, amministratore delegato di RCS Sport.
From 126th in the general classification after the opening time trial in Palermo and planning to ride for Geraint Thomas, to turning it around and winning a first ever Grand Tour. It's only his 4th 3-week race. Previous best, 20th in the Vuelta. And here he sits at the top of the general classification in the Giro d'Italia. Tao Geoghegan Hart has turned the tables. He wears the maglia rosa at the end of 3 weeks. Jai Hindley at 39 seconds in 2nd place. Wilco Kelderman stays on the podium. Joao Almeida moving to 4th, and a very good 5th from Pello Bilbao. Let's go and have a look at how it was won. Mattias Brenne got the way underway. 15.7 kilometers from Cernusco to Naviglio in a time trial to the centre of Milan. He was one of the early favourites to set the top time. Miles Scotson, though, would be absolutely flying. A super ride from the Australian. Top track rider, and breaking the time set by the British champion Alex Dowsett. 17:57. That was until Victor Campenaerts, the hour record holder, turned up. He beat that time by a handful of seconds, 9 quicker, and the Belgian would move into the hot seat. Top Ganna time. 3 stage wins already, both time trials. Could he make it a hat-trick in the race against the clock? And Filippo Ganna would be ready to do just that, blowing everybody else's time out the water. Over half a minute quicker than Campenaerts. It was that good. A 17:16 from Ganna. Dennis couldn't beat it, but then it was down to the GC battle. Gegenhardt in second, but on the same time as Jai Hindley. Races against the clock, not too much in terms of history to talk about between them. Gegenhardt had got the better of the few they've raced against each other on the road. And an open Giro d'Italia saw 22-year-old debut lead for 15 days.
Kelderman che gara da oltre 18 minuti ha preso il via in terza posizione in
Wilco Kelderman finished third on the podium, but Theo Gegenhardt taking the Maglia Rosa. He had to wait for Hindley to finish, but by then knew he was going to do it. Hindley out of time and coming over 39 seconds down. Jai Hindley, heartbreak.
Congrats, man.
That meant delight for Theo Gegenhardt at 25 years of age and winning in the most unexpected fashion. This is the moment that every bike rider dreams of. The most beautiful race in the world. Italy conquered. The Maglia Rosa on your back and a chance to lift the Trofeo Senza Fine. The never-ending trophy belongs to Theo Gegenhardt. And just for the second time in history, a Briton has won the Tour of Italy.
Il proprio nome sul trofeo Theo Gegenhardt.
Pretty in pink in front of the Duomo in Milan. The Madonnina looking down on her city and on the latest winner of the most beautiful race out there. It's been quite a month. It has been a strange year. Cycling's new generation is here. The next lot have taken over the present. It is cycling, but not quite as we know it. Came into this race with just 2 professional wins and nothing ever on the World Tour. Took 2 stages and in a late last week bid for glory, Theo Gegenhardt has found himself at the centre of the cycling world. Something about time trials this year as well, eh? From Pogacar and all of that drama in France to the last day and the first ever time of them being on the same time. We will talk about this for years and years to come. No wonder they're applauding. They all played their part. But let's go and hear from a story of heartbreak for now. Wilco Kelderman led the Giro d'Italia until yesterday. But as you can see from this graphic, he's finished in 3rd place, 1:29 down. Let's hear from the Dutchman.
Wilco, hard 3 weeks of racing are behind you, and you had the Maglia Rosa. And how are you feeling now? You're 3rd on the podium, so you've managed to get on the podium. But are you happy? Or I'm really struggling to ask that question because I see you're happy.
I'm happy, but on the other hand, yeah, we lost it also on the last day. We're both on the podium, that's good, but on the other hand, it felt also a bit strange. But if I say beforehand that I will be on the podium in the Giro, I will be super happy. So next week I will think about it, and I will be super happy about the result. Yeah.
2nd, 3rd. I mean, you guys did an exceptional Giro. The whole Sunweb Cervelo team is like. I mean, it's also, and you also lost Michael Matthews. So
yeah. Actually, we had a super strong team here, and it was super great. Also, great confidence for the team and good feeling. It's a shame that Michael is not here, but yeah, he will enjoy it at home, hopefully.
How was it with Jai yesterday, the last days? Did he get nervous before the final gallop today?
I saw he was a bit nervous, but yeah, that's normal, you know. You're in a pink jersey and you want to finish this off. And for sure he was super nervous, but I think he did a great job. He did everything he could, and he can be also super proud of himself with the 2nd place.
What's your next plan now, tonight?
First drink a lot of beers and enjoy it with the group, and then we'll see what happens.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Arnaud Demara.
Arnaud Demara wins the Maglia Ciclamino. A super performance from the Frenchman. And in Groupama FDJ colours, they've all worked as a team. Comparable performance to that we've seen from the Ineos Grenadiers.
Per quanto riguarda la classifica a punti, protagonista di grandi sprint, si appresta a festeggiare anche sul palco di Milano questa maglia importante. Vince la classifica a punti al Giro d'Italia, quello che è uno degli uomini più veloci al mondo, Arnaud Demara.
And what a victory. All together, all giving their all. 4 stage wins for Demara. And let's go back to those microphones. Here's Jai Hindley.
Jai, disappointed, of course, but also happy it's over, and at the same time, 2nd place in the Giro d'Italia is pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's of course it's super disappointing, you know, to lose the jersey on the last day like that. And yeah, at the moment it's pretty hard to take, but I think when I look back, yeah, I think I'll be super proud of the way the team and how I rode the past 3 weeks, and yeah, it's a massive step forward in my career, and yeah, it's 3 weeks I'll never forget.
Looking back, strong team and everything, would you have done something different when you look back?
No, I think as a team we actually, yeah, I think we didn't put a foot wrong all race, to be honest, and yeah, I think we can be super proud of what we accomplished, and I'd just like to thank the guys on the team and the whole team, actually, the staff and everyone involved. It's a massive operation to get here and to be on the podium in Milan, and yeah, a lot of work and effort and time has gone into it, and I really appreciate what the team has done to get me here.
I can only tell you again, 2nd place in the Giro d'Italia is something exceptional. big plans for tonight? We already asked Wilco Kelderman.
Yeah, I think definitely keen to put the feet up for a bit. Maybe sink a few cheeky bevies, I'll see. But yeah, I also just, sorry. I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's sent messages of support and encouragement. It's been overwhelming to all the people, all my friends and family in Italy and all my friends and family in Australia, especially people that are staying up late at night, and yeah, it's overwhelming. It's really incredible, and I can't thank everyone enough. It means the world.
Thank you so much. Enjoy now.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear from Jai Hindley. Here's another winner. And another of those riders to come through that under-23 development squad run by Axel Merckx. This is the first ever Portuguese rider to pull on a Grand Tour jersey on the final podium. Ruben Guerreiro has won the mountains classification. It'll be a Giro d'Italia that he will never forget. 2 stage wins for EF. And as we see Almeida on the podium, let's go and hear from Arnaud Demar, the winner of the points classification that we saw up there just a moment ago.
Arnaud, finalement, nous sommes à Milan. Et
finally, we're here in Milan.
4 étapes.
And you've won the Maglia Ciclamino.
Vraiment dur aussi.
4 stages as well, pretty impressive. But a tough ride.
Ouais, non, c'est un Giro exceptionnel.
Yeah, it's been an exceptional Giro, a special Giro.
Toujours que ça arrive dans les autres équipes. Et finalement, c'est chez nous.
You only think that it only happens in other teams to get so many victories, but it's happened to me and it's amazing.
Toujours très préservé là-dessus parce que j'avais peur.
Maglia Ciclamino is really good for us. Of course, I was a bit scared of keeping it, and I was actually a bit disappointed, I think, because Sagan always chips away. He was my rain rival. But it felt amazing, and it was brilliant, and it was nice to be on the final podium.
Et voilà, on va vraiment savourer ensemble.
Bien joué, fair play aussi. Même une personne accrochée la voiture au pilon collé. Et tout le monde est resté avec toi dans la montagne.
Everybody stayed with you at the end, even on the other stages as well. You were just a fantastic team together, a band of brothers.
Everybody à la perfection. Que ce soit même les jeunes,
just really had the full committal and the perfect goal for us.
Du contre-la-montre. Voilà, on a répondu présent là où on voulait.
Of course, we had a rider 5th on the time trial today. Miles was there. We were present every day we could be.
Qui mettent pour nous et nous on a su bien travailler.
Of course, I think all the teams deserve these victories, and we've done a great job.
Oui, en plus c'est la fin.
You'll have a great night tonight and party, I guess. Yeah, that's the end of the season.
On va tous bien fêter ça ce soir. Malgré
and we're going to enjoy our evening.
Du Covid, voilà, on a réservé une petite salle.
And even if the circumstances are strange, we're going to do it.
La française du jeu, c'est dangereux.
And with your team, I know it's dangerous. I used to ride for you.
Merci. Merci, Bernard.
Yeah, you've got good memories, obviously. Bernie Eisel, who used to ride for Française des Jeux. I think the times have changed since then, Bernie. Not just a pink jersey, but a white jersey too for Theo Gegenhardt. If you think back to last year's Giro as well, where he crashed on the descent from the Colle del Lis, forced to abandon, then coming in 20th at the Vuelta, where he was getting up the road and being dropped on other stages. What a ride this year, super consistent after losing time early on. And Theo Gegenhardt in a maglia bianca, just as he was in the maglia rosa. And it's the same margin of victory, by the way. The first 2 out of the 3 riders in the young rider competition. So no pressure on the young riders in the Welter, to continue, because Theo Gegenhardt follows in the footsteps of Tadej Pogačar. By the way, it's the last year that Gegenhardt could win that competition. And here they come. Look at all the prizes they brought with them. the Maglia Rosa, the never-ending trophy, and the best team classification. The Ineos Grenadiers are the winners of the team classification overall. And now more than ever, it has been a team effort. You think to Swift getting in the top 20, the stage wins from Ganna and company, Narvaez who had to go home injured, Geraint Temes who started as well. But they've ended up with a Maglia Rosa, and Theo Gegenhardt has won the Giro d'Italia. Oh, what a 21 days it's been. Impossible to sum up in the half a minute I have here. But it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to talk to you through this season alongside Brian Smith, Sean Kelly and everybody else. Thanks to all who've joined us. Me and Brian will take our leave on commentary now. We'll re-find you again hopefully next year. But from Brian, from me, Brad, Philippe Gilbert, everybody who's joined us, it's goodbye. Stay safe, stay well.
Hey!